Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast episode, I think, 625. A lot of podcasts. They're all piling up. They are just like the snow outside. If you are in an area where you were hit by the big storms, I hope everybody's safe, has electric and whatnot. Hopefully your pipes didn't freeze like ours did, but we did fix that. But yet, I spent the all afternoon now shoveling snow. And I'm tired. Jimmy Boy ain't in the shape he was at one point, and that's usually the snow time deal is when I really realize that, and my back hurts. And I am tired. I'm still wet. I'm freezing. The famed Weird Science Studios is not in a heated area. I have a blanket, but just a regular blanket, and I'm having problems. I'm having problems. Also, yes, I did shovel in shorts and my Crocs because I do what I do. Jimmy being Jimmy. I did look for my sweatpants. I couldn't find them, and I did have to go out and start shoveling. So that was a pain in the butt. I'm about to pass out, so forgive me if this is brief because I got wet briefs, which if you listen, you know that's a lie. I don't wear the briefs. Yeah. Hey, everybody. We don't have a lot of books this week either. There are 3 books on the show. We have a little Superman Unlimited, the Wonder Womans, and also the Nightwings. But if you want more, or at least, 2 issues more, we did talk about other things on our Patreon Spotlight. If you go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/weirdscience, each and every week, we talk about 2 books that aren't on the regular show because they are picked in a poll by the badasses of the Get Fresh crew. You can hear it. I'm starting to cough. I'm having problems. I lost my voice this weekend, and that didn't help the shovelings. And the shovelings didn't help it. But, yeah, if you want to hear 2 other books, here's what they are. Pretty big, I tells you. We got the DCKO Green Lantern Galactic Slam, which I like to call the Slam Bam. Thank you, ma'am. And we also have Titans number 31, a KO tie-in that pretty much showed that Terra was being, bad to the bone. Nobody was surprised. Nobody was surprised when Terra was bad to the bone. But if you want to hear those, go over to patreon.com/weirdscience, and you can listen to that show. You can listen to a bunch of shows, some things in the works. We have me and Matt, who you'll hear join me for Superman Unlimited, and Gray, who everybody knows and loves. Me, him, and him, recorded it's kind of a sitting around talking about things, but also going through some of the solicits that just came out from DC for April. We also have me and Gray doing a Usagi Yojimbo podcast. I'm going to be getting that up in a little bit. We have a year 1 podcast I do with Zach. We have a bunch of things, and I'm starting to do more solo stuff as well when I am not shoveling. But with all that said and done, to get out of here so we can get to the books, which I know you'd rather listen to, we are going to go now to a little bit of a shout out, a little bit of a spotlight, a little bit of a roll call. This is the Badass Roll Call. Here are the badasses. All of these guys and gals, they are the ones you can blame when you get upset if some books are on the Patreon Spotlight. They end up picking them, but it's Joe Anello, Edward Howa, TJ Freeling, Andrew Belfast, Eric Loves You, we love Eric, Don't Mention It, David Fink, Jack Halsey, Brandon with an O, Nick Rust. I was just talking to Nick about an ABA pseudo-documentary that me and him both said looks cool. Trevitt, Tom Johnson, Dan Smith, yeah, Big Z, The Mark Claire Show, The Annihilator, Ted Probst, I Love Punchline, Stork, Matt Razor, Niels T-Wart, Stephen Baum, Jason Colby, Sue 42 to you and me, Ken Halleck, Comic Boom Rocky, Mark Jaeger, Ruben, Uncle Ruben, he knows what I'm talking about. 2 of Marv, if you know, you know. 2 of Marv, Matthew Aritier, Simon. Simon had an ear infection this week. I believe that's called black and tan. Luis, Manship, Swanee, Josh Jamillion, Batman Beyond, Mark, B. Muir, that's Brandon with an E up in Canada, Buffalo, Canada, Double A-Ron, doxing his ass in Minnesota, and I hope he is safe. And with all of that, he ended up making fun of the Eagles during the Sus Records dance party. So I made fun of the Vikings. That's what I did. And he laughed, but I was glad to see him. I actually shocked me. I don't know how long he stayed. I was going to talk to him a little more, but he kind of ghosted me then. But with that said and done, we're just going to get right to the books. I said this is probably going to be one of the shorter podcasts that we've had. Mainly, again, there's 3 books on the main show, but we try to get what they are worth out of them. One of these books ain't worth a diddly or a squat. Ooh, it's bad, but you'll have to guess which one that is, though I think I reveal it at the end of the Superman Unlimited review. I had already done some things. I was already tired when me and Matt talked about Superman Unlimited. By the end, I'm just pretty much talking about what we're going to talk about later in the show. Then realize, what the heck am I doing? And then talk some more. But that's kind of the way we do things around here. So thanks, everybody, for listening to the show. We're going to get to it now. At the end, I'll be back to tell you what we'll talk about next week. I believe, I would guess there's more books next week than there were this week. But we'll get to the show right about now. Yes, here we are to start the show. I don't know why we have to deal with that solo at the end. You got to splice that out. We got to fade that out. But here we are. I'm here with my man, Matt. What up, Matt?
What up, Jim?
What is up as we're getting hit by a storm as we are recording. We're recording this Sunday afternoon. I believe what I told my wife already is you got 6 inches. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I didn't mean snow. Actually, I didn't say that, but it'd be funny.
And she's going to get another 6 inches later, probably.
Yeah.
Too.
She's like, I hope we get 15 inches. I'm like, what do you want me to do you 3 times? Here we are to talk some books. And this being the first book of 3, that's all we have this week of what we're talking about. And I've already recorded the other 2. So I was hoping this might pull me through here. Because we have not great things this week. And so I do believe that this is going to be a book that's going to be similar to what we talked about on the Spotlight, because we talked about that KO wrestling slam bam. Thank you, ma'am. And I knew that there'd be some people who would just pish posh if you say anything wrong. It's just for fun. It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's fun. When am I going to start having fun? And that's kind of what I feel with this book. And it is the Superman Unlimited book. And so going in, I think that people should be aware, but if they're not, me and you are probably bigger Dan Slott fans than most.
Yep.
We do like Dan Slott. When Dan Slott does things good, they're really good. We actually we like Spider Boy a lot when he was just kind of relaxed, and that was having fun. But when you go into this book, all I keep seeing and hearing, and it happened again with this issue, where I don't know what I think of the idea of, oh, he's just trying to do this, and he wants to have fun, and they give you the concept of what he's trying to do, but a lot of people never get around to saying it's working or what, because I don't think it is. I don't really have fun in this issue. This is starting a new arc, but the book has been all over the place. There's been single issue stories. Then you get the Kryptonite where they go down to Kryptonite country and they end up doing that.
Yeah.
And things just happen. And the problem, and this is the problem I have a lot when people say about the Matt Fraction Batman. Now, everything's going to tie in together eventually. But when you just have these one shots go and then the next issue, they tend to not have any weight. You tend to kind of lose track of a lot of things. And then when they do come back, it's like, oh, yeah, that. Now, this hasn't even gotten to that point yet because we're not coming back to anything yet. We're just adding shit to it. The main thing and the main focus has been the Kryptonite.
Yep.
Oh, the whole planet. And yeah, it was a crazy thing to have Superman try to stop a meteor, and the meteor ends up being this huge piece of kryptonite, whatever. But at this point, you said before, you tell people what you said because I think it's true about this.
It's just he's just relying on that kryptonite problem too much. It just keeps popping up, even in this issue, in just such a small and unnecessary way.
Yeah, and so when you do get the again, I'll say in this issue, when the kryptonite thing pops up, it almost feels like odd. Like, well, he's been dealing with bigger things, and then it's this, and then start talking about where Perry even got this thing and why he would just get it. It's weird. And then Dan Slott wants to have fun. And again, we've read a lot of Dan Slott, and sometimes he can have fun. Sometimes this feels, again, there is such a disconnect with me with this book of him trying to write a DC book that he just doesn't seem to know DC as much as
Is
Marvel.
This another Bendis situation
That's
where he comes
what it feels
over?
Like he comes over and he wants to do things, and Bendis was weird. Bendis would present something as if it was new, not realizing that it's been done 50 million times. Dan Slott just does things that just people together or comments or things. There's going to be a big comment with Lombard. And I like Lombard. He cracks me up. He's so over the top. And I actually, as I was reading, when I saw Lombard was nobody's featured because there's so much stuff going on. But I thought we're due for a Lombard story in the, here and now that gives the idea of why I like Guy Gardner. That you find out, and we have done this, but I kind of think Dan Slott could have done something where you find out that Lombard's really a good guy and you do this, but he kind of just is played off here as a prop, as he usually is. Mm-hmm. He's an over-the-top sexist guy who's kind of hateful. And he likes to bully Clark around. But I wanted to see a little more. But again, there's not much time for it. And so I'll give you the credits and then you go into it. But even so, the dialogue in this, and the dialogue, I think, since this whole series began, at least the issues that Dan Slott was writing, not Jeremy Adams, he writes as if, like, he thinks he's sly and slipping things in names or things like that, but they're so obvious. They make me roll my eyes. But you end up, it's Die Laughing Part 1. It is Superman Unlimited number 9. Written by Dan Slott, art by Mike Norton, colors by Marcelo Mayala, letters by Dave Sharp, and you have the assistant editor Jillian Grant and editor Paul Kaminsky. Paul Kaminsky, a pretty good editor. I just think that it's at this point where I do think Dan Slott he's read some Superman comics, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just that it's like almost to me, it's a tourist versus somebody who lives somewhere. You end up going as a tourist, you're only going to see the big things. You're only going to see the popular things. You're not really, you couldn't leave after a little vacation and say, I know Brazil, because you didn't see Brazil. You saw what they wanted you to see and what the tourists went. And so when he does things, they just seem not surface level, but they just seem odd to me. Everything feels odd because you start out and it's Clark, Jack Ryder, Lombard and Vicky Vale. Number one, I want to know who the hell got these people together. Like, again, Lombard plays off the idea later of like, hey, we ain't friends or whatever. But you think that this is like, hey, they go out after things for drinks, though Clark doesn't drink. And Jack Ryder and Vicky Vale there. And they're talking about, hey, what are you doing here, Vicky Vale? It's like, well, there's this things with the DWDA. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then she says, I'm like, is that supposed to be funny? It just ended up.
Yeah,
and it's
it was a weird acronym.
Yeah, it's a dumb way to die
award.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? And so you end up where Jack knows, but where is it? It's this, take your best shot, Ryder. Trust me, Jack. It won't top what I've got. I'm like, that is the weirdest way to try to put in the idea. I was surprised that afterwards, by the way, you're a real creep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for. And then Lombard's like, whoa. I'm the creep of this town. But you end up like, take your best shot, Ryder. Trust me, Jack. It won't. I'm surprised that you have her as she's about to say Ryder. The jukebox is playing Hit the Road, Jack, right at that point. And she just it was such a weird play to throw a name out there. And also they're almost playing. It's like, so what brings you to a Gotham gal like Vicky Vale to our bright and shiny metropolis? Of course, Lombard's going for a date. But what did she just walk into the bar? You know what I mean? Like,
she's just randomly there.
She's just randomly there. She's like, well, I like the booze here. They cut me off on every damn bar in Gotham because I'm a lush.
I think she's drinking a martini maybe or something.
Yeah, look at this place. Lombard has the biggest thing. Actually, if you're going to go with the idea, I kind of think it is funny, the drinks that they have. You know, Jack Ryder has like a whiskey on the ice or whatever, scotch and whiskeys. That Lombard has that huge beer. I'm surprised that Clark isn't drinking milk.
Milk, yeah.
He has like a weird thing, but I don't even know that that's his drink, and it wouldn't hit him anyway. But they're talking about, hey, it's dumb ways to die. It almost plays like what you would normally have here would be the Darwin Awards. Like, this guy died because he thought a pillow was a parachute, but they have to be killed. These are people murdered. So right away, I'm like, this isn't that funny. Also, the things that happen are to billionaires and things like that. And it's just played off as, oh man, that guy got unlucky. That guy threw a pie at him.
Yeah, I don't think that's a dumb way.
And the pie was chemical warfare.
It's not that guy's fault. He just got hit with a pie.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the Darwin Awards.
His allergies. Right?
Yeah, it's not the Darwin Awards. This is the people murdered people with weird, but we're also, and they play off the deal. Like, Vicky Vale would not think that this is crazy. She deals with the Joker a lot in Gotham and has things about the Riddler and things like that. But this is what brought her there. The real play in my, like, they focus on they're not focusing until Clark says it. They're not focusing on the idea that billionaires are being killed randomly by odd things that you would think are connected, but they don't connect them. So the next one is, and again, it's supposed to be this rich guy, I guess, but he looks like he lives on like Main Street, USA. Yep. He's there doing a gender reveal, which again, I know that you're supposed to be having fun here, but I'm thinking this guy, his wife's pregnant. They're revealing this baby's sex. And when he breaks open the balloon, this paint drowns him. Now, I don't think that this balloon would have that much, but it could have been.
Why was the balloon floating then?
Yeah, I don't
with
know.
Paint inside?
Like, that should be the funny thing if you're going to do, it's not even funny, but the Darwin Awards would be like, this guy's so pompous that he ended up getting a blimp, not realizing that when it breaks open, the pink, the poor little girl, it will drown everybody. But no, it just drowns this guy. And I'm like, couldn't the guy just like walk away?
Yeah, just wipe your face.
You know what I mean?
It's not hard.
Like, no, everybody's in horror. And then that happens. Then you get the guy who's and again, these others are weird because then this last one, Max McMahon, the famous songwriter, he was walking down the street texting and then got hit by a piano, like Lombard says.
It's not
like
that guy's fault. It just a piano fell on him.
And they're like, and is that? I mean, it's kind of like, oh man, that's weird. I didn't think that would happen in real life. Lombard thinks it's hilarious.
Every time I'm walking in Manhattan, I feel like I'm going to get killed by something dropping on me.
Exactly, like a big giant pigeon crap.
You wouldn't even know. You'd
rat
just be
with
dead.
Wings. Those things are. So they're laughing at. Now the problem I have also is number one. the pie incident, we'll call it, and the gender reveal are kind of very similar. They're, liquid, whatever. They want to play off this pink deal, which is weird because it's the blood of this guy.
Yeah.
But it's also weirdly connected to what he made his money to. But again, is that the play? Because then Clark says,
he's a songwriter.
Yeah, and he got hit by a piano like a Looney Tunes, right? So I get it, whatever. But Clark then is to stop him. Well, look, all these deaths, they were good people. And I looked and there's nobody, like they said, could it be the Joker? No, he was. And that's a Vicky Vale line. That's okay. Ends up saying, come on, Jack. If it were the Joker, you'd leave a calling card, sign it, probably have it pop out of a Jack in the Box. That's fine. Also, he wouldn't want to fuck with Superman. But Clark's like, I looked into it, and they're like, who are you? Look at you, Clark, where you went and looked for fingerprints and stuff. Well, he should have said, I talked to the police, the Metropolis Police Department. They say there's no clues. He's like, he went into it and they're like, whatever.
Why would you think these are connected in any way, though?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
these are just random stories that they came up with.
In my way, it would be that million billionaires, they're dying. Something's weird but that they don't care. And then it looks like Lombard's going off to nail Vicky Vale when they leave, with Jack. Jack's leaving too. The three of them are going off for some fun.
Three-way, yeah.
Yeah, so they're just like, what? So, okay, that's that story. Then you end up, hey, speaking of reporting, like Lombard's the one that has to keep you on schedule. Don't you got somewhere to be, Ken?
After he drank 8 beers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Something.
Like, and it looked like Clark had like a phony bologna cocktail or whatever. I guess he's a real working man. He's heading off drunk, but he's not. But he says, don't you have to be somewhere? I thought you were our guy covering Mayor White's noon press conference. So they are day drinking too. Pretty good. As they go to nail. And he's like, oh yeah. Lombard will later describe what Perry is to Clark, but doesn't say it here. Which may have, it's so weird. But then you go to the press conference and it's Perry saying, hey, we got Inner Gang. We got all their weapons. By the way, they're all here.
And they're pointed at the audience.
They're all here pointing all over the place. These things, we don't really understand how this alien tech works, but we're going to pile it up here and have it pointed. And maybe possibly they also grab Lombard's meth stash. I don't know if those are Inner Gang uniforms. They look like it. Why? Why are you stacking uniforms on the side? By the way, we have uniforms as well. But they're like, and then Clark's there. Clark says, Mayor White, Clark Kent, Daily Planet. And then Perry, he is a professional guy. So is Clark. Perry's a newspaper. He wouldn't say this to a reporter where obviously Clark wants to distance himself from the idea that they're really good friends because it throws shit in there. And he goes, hey, Kent. We're talking about, it says, you don't have to say that. You know me. I was at your wedding. I'm like, no, you don't say that. He goes, Kent, I was at your wedding. I know who you are. The rest of them are probably right now like, no wonder he gets the first
favoritism.
question.
Yeah, of course.
Like you don't do that. Also, to set it up later, also John's godfather. So we'll set that up. So he ends up saying, hey, it isn't because Clark says, isn't it true? Bruno Mannheim's behind bars. What's going on? I wanted Perry to go, oh, I also know you're a dummy because obviously Inner Gang is still working. They're not going away just because Bruno Mannheim and maybe he possibly is working from the, how the mob works. Inner Gang's like the mob to me. They don't go down. If you take one guy goes down, the next person comes in or the boss is just running shit while he makes fucking fettuccine. In things like, Goodfellas. Well, it goes, oh no, this is where it really made me roll my eyes. And I'm losing my voice again. I don't know what's going on. Got a fragile voice like George Harrison. You end up where he then starts, this is Perry, the mayor. If you tell me this is mispronouncing or laying into things like they did with Saddam Hussein to get him riled up, then I'll go with it. But it just seems mean-spirited. I guess the idea that Mini Mannheim, again, you have the MM, is a short person.
You're sensitive to this, I think.
Maybe. I'm not as small as her. But even when you see her, I just thought they were playing off she's a little girl. Then you see, oh no, she's a little person.
She's not that short.
But they're really, everybody's playing it up. I mean, 4'11", I think, is the cut of being a little person. I think she is.
For a woman, though, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's either 4'10" or something like that. Somebody will correct me. But he goes, true, Kent. We're talking about his little sister, Minnie Mannheim. And there's nothing to worry about here. She always comes up short and then says, trust me, folks, Minnie's strictly a small time cook. And I'm waiting for them to go off. Oh, I'm waiting for them to go off. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, what is he doing? Like, doesn't he know you can't do that? But she's just then working with the prankster. And this book's all over the place. So she's like, hey, I was waiting for him to start doing bullshit too, but he doesn't. But this is the prankster. She's going to the prankster and saying, hey, fatso, that's the best. I think that they put that in. I swear to God that the play here is make her so hateful to him being fat that then the small jokes go away. Yeah. But says, many times I ain't here for your amusement, fatso. We doing business or what? And he goes, well, it depends. You understand my service, my young protege provides. And so from there on out, you kind of lose track of that. This is the prankster, and that's just a protege. Even people I saw in reviews and comments don't even say like a new prankster. They're like, oh man, the prankster's got a new design. No, this is the prankster. That's
Prankster
a protege.
Junior or something.
And I hate Prankster Junior. Yeah. I don't like him at all. I don't find him anything interesting. He pranks, but he has another thing going on which doesn't fit. And
he's like supernatural powers or something weird going on with him, mutant or something.
So in that, is he like a fifth dimension? But I don't think he is.
He's got advanced powers.
Yeah, and we said he looks like Morph at points.
Oh, exactly like him
from Marvel.
Yeah,
and as his power. What is
or
going
chameleon
on?
almost?
Yeah, like anything like that. But that doesn't fit the prankster deal to me. Now, if he disguised himself as a rug and flung it out so it trips people, hey, we got something going. But he just kind of sets up pranks, deadly pranks, and uses this weird. He doesn't even use the morphing ability that much. It's weird, but he says,
he's like a chameleon kind of.
Yeah, it's really just him hiding at points. Yeah, and so it's like,
he's a real creeper. This guy.
So the play of it is with the creeper in the issue is weird, but the whole play is, and I get it. You don't, and this is the thing. That's the idea of don't kill that person because they become a martyr. Rip them apart so people turn on them, forget them, whatnot. That's the best. That would be Daredevil and Born Again, like that sort of thing. And so, your favorite story.
Yeah, so you say.
Yeah, so
I'll trust
you
on
end
that
up where
one.
pranksters then, we just don't kill them. We make them laughing stocks. Actually say punchline, which I thought, oh no, here we go. But instead, she leaves, and then this protege morphs out of the wall with the worst outfit. I can't stand it.
Horrible.
It hurts my eyes. It does. And says, okay, so, and then that's the thing too. He comes out after the other things and goes, man, I bet if she saw me, she'd think I'm off the wall. Like, okay, cut it. He goes, you're taking the next assignment. Again, this is a weird play. And they say, we want Perry. And then he says, Great Caesar's ghost.
Why does his face match his outfit? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, and he looks.
I don't like it.
Odd, yeah, I don't either. I would have liked the idea if they pulled that Great Caesar's ghost play that they did on the TV show back in the day, where he said it enough times and it became a thing. He from the fifth dimension materialized Great Caesar's ghost, but they didn't do that. So then we go and swipe over to Lombard and Clark going to see a baseball game. And you end up where Clark's, man, I'm a Meteors fan, almost as if Lombard wouldn't know. Lombard is the sports guy. So the idea of this, there's no real reason that Lombard is inviting him. He tries to make up a reason, but it's weird because he's like, oh, I thought I'd get you here. Don't you know who's throwing out the first pitch? Well, I think Clark would, but he says, what? And he's like, your man crush, Perry White.
You mean my old boss that's now the mayor?
Your man crush, Perry White. They're both of their former boss.
Yeah, my friend.
The mayor that you just went to the deal, and a guy who's the godfather to John Kent.
Yeah.
So he's like, your man crush. I'm like,
he's friends with my wife.
And then it becomes this play. And I never thought like Clark ever like man crush is he wants to be Perry. No, Lois would. Like that might be Lois's man. Like Lois would have weird things going on. But Lombard's like, yeah. And he's going to throw out the pitch and look at us. And man, and then Clark's like, oh, I kind of like you. You're kind of a friend. Whoa. Let's keep it professional there. It's a weird interaction. Like there's no reason for it except to get him there.
Throw that and on top of the fact that he flicks his nose too. I mean,
Yeah, and he does that.
A grown man flicking some guy's nose. Like, what are we doing? I would just leave.
And then all I can hope for is that Perry doesn't throw that ball like Baba Booey. That's all I was thinking of. But okay,
Baba Booey practiced for like a month to do that. He got a coach and everything.
He choked completely. Yeah. I like at one point they were going to pay him to throw again, and he wouldn't.
He went on Jimmy Kimmel and did the same throw and made the same mistake.
Yeah,
it's all you can watch it. It's
terrible.
Crazy. Yeah,
Eric
idiot
is what it was. So you end up where they're going, sit down. There's Perry. He's coming out. The mascot comes out, and then you're thinking, okay, this is going to be like death by mascot. That's, crazy. Like the idea again.
I like this mascot. I think they could have done something with him. He was a real asshole, this guy, this mascot.
Well, I think it's the
prankster.
Protege. Yeah. So he's in there. So with that, if you're going to come up with a funny thing of you want to make him a laughing stock, you'd have him be killed somehow by a mascot because it's ball day that they go. Everybody has a ball. At one point, I swear to God, what Lumbar's play was, he wanted 2 balls. Like, I thought it was. I thought he's like, it's ball day. Okay, this guy wants 2 balls. He's like the Lance Armstrong. He wants another ball. So you end up where they go, and Perry's going to toss this in, and the ball feels, it's weird. And then he passes it in, and then the mascot who's catching, which that doesn't happen either. It's
a regular catcher.
Yeah. So you end up where they throw the ball back, and he goes, "Oh, that's weird. If it's me spiking that shit like Pete Rose and getting out, Jim out," and I'd go there and walk away. I wouldn't just sit there. All the other balls start going, and the whole play is it's like a magnetized thing that all the balls are now going to beam Perry. So legit, is there a point where this wouldn't be a tragedy that would end up where you wouldn't think back at it as a joke? It wouldn't make you a laughing stock. It would be like, what the hell?
No, remember that day we all got hypnotized and threw our baseballs at the mayor and killed him?
Got completely like he was stoned to death. Like there are thousands of thousands. Just think the crowds, they're packed.
Yeah.
There's not going to be anything left of him. He is going to be just mush on that field. I don't even know that you'd be able to even, they might have to make a new stadium. I'm telling you, the idea that a pitcher would go out, and this is where this guy got completely obliterated by balls. And they're like, oh, man, what's wrong with these balls, Clark? Oh, and Superman stops him. Of course, when he stops him, it only looks like there's 3. And what happened to the people in center field?
What happened to the people throwing behind him? Yeah.
What happened to the people in right field? He's just jumping.
The best, I know they're trying to go for this weird visual of him blocking the balls, but I think it's better if you just grab him, fly him off.
That would be good too. Or it'd have to be a vortex that he's running around, show him as he's going.
Or a tornado vortex.
When it happens down, I guess you're supposed to believe that, and then Clark is just willy-nilly feet visioning.
There would be way more balls on the field than that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You wouldn't be able to see the grass.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this thing. I wish there'd be more balls there than at a Limp Bizkit concert, right? So you end up where I'm guessing that heat vision just doesn't stop on one ball. He's killing people. But then they're all yelling Superman. What I'd be yelling is, I'm getting the hell out of here, right? I mean, I'm like, also, when does it come where you have this crazy lawsuit or whatever? Everybody's arrested for killing Perry, but he's like, thanks a lot. And then he goes, all things considered, that was pretty funny. No, it wasn't.
Too bad it wasn't Bat Day was the joke.
Bat Day. What would you have done Bat Day, Perry? What would you throw the first bat? Nonsense. Then they'd have him, hey, let's see this old guy take batting practice. Would have been kind of fun. But he's like, you're in good spirits. And he's like, well, you have to put it all in perspective. I mean, it would have been a funny way to go. No, it wouldn't.
No, it would have been a painful, humiliating way.
A piano falling on you, somebody might get a laugh at, but it's not funny for you. And then they look and the mascot's going.
I do like that mascot, his head.
Yeah, look at
cool. It's a flaming meteor.
He's just a meteor.
It looks like a meatball on fire.
You could have. It does. It looks like, what's his name? From the Aqua Team Hunger Force.
It looks like that.
It does. So like a little goofier version. Also, maybe play the idea of the meteors with the meteor that had the whole kryptonite. But they end up and it's like, oh man, that mascot seemed a little sus. I'm going to get out of here. And that's where Clark then calls John, who's doing a report from Steelworks campus in Smallville. It's all over. And then he's like, yeah, you have John Henry. He's yelling shit. John walks away. Mixie shows up. Then they're going to play that. Everything's like a goof, which I get it, but it's all over the place, this issue. And he starts saying, I'm here because I have to warn you, your arch enemy is going to come from the 4th dimension. What is it? Master Tix's?
Master, what's he called? Where is that? Oh, Master Tix's, maybe?
Tix's?
Tix's?
Like, I said that a million times myself, and I'm waiting for it to click, but it doesn't. Yeah. And then even then, John's going to try to trick.
Is that going to happen in a later issue, I guess?
I guess. I don't know. And then he's like, hey, you're better. He's like, I have an alias now. This is Mixie because he puts on glasses. And he's going to be a goofball. The weird thing, though, is that John's on the phone getting a call from Clark who says, hey, son, Mixie around. You see that asshole? Because I think this might be him.
Why would he be there?
Pops in.
Yeah,
then he just pops in as if it's like, I don't know, because he says, John, we got to talk. And it was a coincidence, but he says, oh,
Have
yeah.
Have they interacted before, these two? Mixes Pitalik and John Kent? Who knows?
I don't know. I would assume they have, but I don't really remember because Mixie annoys the hell out of me. But you end up where also he should be smoking a cigar and a baby. There are a bunch of people, but obviously John knows who, John Henry knows who John Kent is, but there's other people around, but still Mixie pops. And I think that most people wouldn't be centering on the idea that he said, hey, John. I think they'd be centering on a guy, the fucking little bowler cap that popped out of nowhere and is floating around. Right? So he ends up, and I also want him to be like, what's his name on the Flintstones and called John Dum Dum. That would be funny.
Yeah, what was that guy on the Flintstones?
Yeah, it was like Gizmo. And it's like, hello, Dum Dums. Maybe laugh so much. I'm like, he's giving him shade. But yeah, his biggest enemy. So there's another thing we'll deal with. Then you go where, because of the baseball fiasco and the saving of Perry, Perry's going to give Superman the key to the city, which is revealed when he's talking to John. This is the 78th one. I think that's enough. I don't think you have to give him a set. The joke of the 78 keys makes the scene weird. But again, they give him the deal. And oh my God, this protege is in the crowd. Nobody noticing that the guy doesn't have a face. And he presses a button, which then melts the lead and gold paint.
Yep.
And it's kryptonite. And Superman, instead of throwing that shit into the sun, he goes gold. He doesn't need to go gold. He can throw this shit and leave. This isn't like he's trapped. Maybe he doesn't want to upset Perry. And he doesn't want to, So, but what did Perry do to look into this freaking key? How did this key get there?
And the protege knows that 200 seconds is all he has because he puts a timer
he knows
on his
everything.
How does he know that?
He did. Clark has revealed, or Superman revealed things, but not like that. And so it's all really weird. I'm telling you, why don't you throw that key into the sun?
Oh, he could from there, just toss it right up.
It's like 2 seconds. The paint melts. You get rid of that shit. Mm-hmm. You've had this happen before.
You could fling that pretty far, I think.
Yeah. And hope it doesn't hit anybody. Throw it to where you know the sea is, right? Just go, I'm telling you, into space. Just launch it. So he turns gold because we haven't seen it in a little bit.
And 2 issues, 1 issue.
Yeah, and it's not interesting. It's not interesting at all. Then even by the end, you would think, whether they'll play this or not, but the guy, this protege, does not feel like the plan is to depower Superman, which would be smart. It's just that he says, oh, now this is happening, even when he talks to the main prankster. But what happens is suddenly this statue of Superman that has like an eagle on it, the bird comes to life. The eagle comes to life. How does that happen? Like, is that his power set? Because all I saw him is pretending he was a freaking wall.
That was just for the joke that we were talking about before.
Because they're doing that. So was that set up when they made this statue? Has been there. And so
it's
that
been there
comes
for
to life.
decades, I guess.
So is this guy just a fifth dimensional imp that will be revealed? But whatever. That's not that
Superman just immediately kills it. It doesn't do anything.
He just smashes it.
Yeah.
And then I wanted it to become, oh no, it was a real bird. And now he's in big trouble because that shit's in danger. But then you have, and this is the thing, you have and I think that it makes sense by the end, but it's a little bit disjointed because what you're playing is it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, but it plays out very heavy-handed, especially by the end. And then they go, oh, those 3 things. From now on, people are going to look at Superman as a joke when they say that. Nobody's going to hear or know this. Nobody's going to put this together in the real world of the comicdom here of saying, oh, Remember that time that a bird attacked Superman and then he had to stop a plane and then his statue fell? It's just like what they yell. First off, nobody should yell that anymore, ever. Right? Like, it's nonsense. So
it is nonsense. It's always been nonsense, in my opinion.
The bird, he's like, thank God they did nothing with a locomotive and faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah.
Like, I could still get that. But he punches the bird, smashes it. Then a plane's coming in that was just going around with a stupid banner.
Unnecessary.
Stupid banner. Thank you,
what a
Superman.
Waste of city funds to hire
really.
a guy
That's
to fly
what this
that
whole
around.
thing should be. They're now going to look into the funds that Perry's doing, giving him a 79th key.
He's embezzling money through this somehow.
The key that somebody wants is Lombard. He wants his cocaine back. But it's going to smash.
Every time he gives away a key, the 78th time, he makes $1 million somehow.
That might be. So you end up where he's got to stop this plane, but he only has a certain amount of time. You would think that, okay, this is to make it so Perry is by himself and they could kill him. Again, would it be funny afterwards of, oh man, it was so funny, a statue fell on Perry. But he goes to stop this plane by crunching it and then says, I better save everybody here and whatnot. Then you have the it's a bird, it's a plane, but then you have a page turn. And I have a problem with this because I didn't connect all of it together, because when a statue of Superman's falling, you wouldn't yell, it's Superman. I guess maybe the morph guy is yell. I don't know. Well, but you wouldn't say it's Superman, that you would say, look out. It's
the
like
statue
the idea.
Is falling.
It's like the idea of like heads up, and then you're like heads up, and then you get hit by the basketball because somebody should have just yelled, "Watch out for the basketball!"
Or you say it's Superman's statue.
Yeah, watch out, the statue's falling.
And I didn't notice this now, but what the hell? What's on Perry's feet? Why is he stuck to the ground like that?
No, he ran into like gum.
What?
That you know, pranks. That's what happened. I'd be more like So he ran into gum. He's like, oh no. Gum. These guys that are there as his bodyguards, the one guy, they want to make you think that he jumped in front and landed under the statue, but he didn't. You see that he didn't. He pushed Perry away, but also Superman blew with his last bit. You see the gold dissipating. Yeah. He blows real hard, and the statue falls. They're like, oh my God, watch out, Perry. I'm like, and then he says, after Superman, there isn't a day in Metropolis when someone doesn't call out those three things. Really? Because then everybody in Metropolis is an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the idea again, can you imagine? This is the Metropolis version of working hard or hardly working. You're going through Metropolis and then a tourist comes in. We'll go back to that where they're like, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Like, if you say that one more damn time, I'm going to smack your ass. No resident would say that. But again, nonsense. So you go and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Then the kryptonite key's there. Leave, Superman.
He picks it up.
Say to everybody, listen, first off, say, Perry, did you look into this? Who gave you this key? He doesn't even do that. Where'd you get this key? Let me know who made it, whatever. No, he's just going to walk away because he picks it up to hand it to Perry to then say, give it to your bodyguard. Mayor White, please award this to Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole, not Mr. Cope. We're not talking gray here. He goes, go to Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole's right there. Now, one thing is, they claim there's that market for kryptonite, right? Yeah. How could it be? The whole planet has kryptonite because of that one place. This shit is going to be worth a cent. But he's like, why would this guy want a kryptonite?
Well, I was going to say you could sell it to Lex Luthor, but probably wouldn't get much for it.
Lex could get it. That Kryptonium crazy Cryptoville. I can't remember what they called it.
They had,
that South American city. Yeah. There's so much they flooded the market.
Yep.
There's going to be nothing that's of value. He should be, well, he can't throw it now. It'd be funny if he tries to throw it and it just lands 2 feet away. But why go pick it up? And then it's like, man, kryptonite really hurts you, right? Yeah, it does, Perry. He's like, yeah, and also you lost your power when you go gold, huh? Yep, yes, I did.
How long does it take to get his powers back? I forget.
Well, he only has it for 200 seconds.
But I
think they were still testing it. That it was kind of back and forth. Of course, what you did with the solar flare, and that's what this feels like. Jeff Johns, John Romita Jr. deal in. By the time it was like the end of what's it called? The New 52 into the DCYOU and stuff like that, where he had that solar flare. And the big play at one point was, oh no, he might lose his powers forever. I think we're going to be setting up that the idea that he goes gold and, oh my God, my powers aren't coming back. I might have lost. But we've seen that. But yeah, so you have all this. Mush Face walks away, the protege, and he's like, oh, well, third time will be the charm. Again, I'm thinking the idea. He says 2 swings and a miss. Third time will be a charm. No, play it off that this guy, this is the long con he's doing. This is that he knows. He obviously knows a lot about this going gold. This sets up Superman not having powers to then have Superman also get killed in a pranky way, as well as Perry. And then by the end, you have Clark Kent, who is on the breaking news here, doing his news report, odd. But he ends up as like, yeah, there's this rash of things. The thing with Perry, these weren't accidents. This is set up. And in the meantime, it reminds me that, or it's, to me, there's a mirthful madman that has hit Metropolis just like, and you end up where the protege, who isn't the prankster yet, he's just the protege, and says, oh, he's going to say I'm like the Joker. And he goes, just like Central City's trickster. And now he's mad. The trickster. Who's the effing beeping deal, the trickster? And then the real prankster should be like, you were messing up the brand, you son of a bitch.
He says, oh,
and,
my.
Yeah, he goes, oh, my. And then he says, that's it. I'm killing Clark Kent. Prankster goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. We ain't being paid for that. I don't care. I'll do it pro Sonny Bono.
Bitch. Yeah.
Clark Kent, you're dead.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, the big play is that he doesn't have powers right now, which he normally would have.
Yeah,
that would then save him. So they're going to play that. But again, it's we went through it, pretty, tooth and comb. But the thing is, the problem talking about this is one of those issues that does feel like that. And then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. There's not really a huge, the prankster stuff is going, but that just pops up here. And then you're doing stuff with John and Mixie. Then you're going to go off and you have, Perry doing this. And then you have it's just all over the place. And nothing to me feels great or funny even. But it does, I guess it gives you a bang for your buck. You get a lot of crazy shit in here. Yeah. But I just feel like this whole thing I don't have, except the idea of kryptonite 24/7. You don't really get anything I could put my finger on to say. And even if somebody said, is this book good? Should I get it? I can't even say, or that what is it about? I might get it. What is it about? I can't even say that it's about the kryptonite thing. That just seems to just be pushed too much because there's no real overall theme of the book, except I guess it's kind of Silver Agey. And I said it before. I said at the beginning of this and whatnot. If I want to read some Silver Age stuff, I can. I like the feel of that when you're having fun. But this isn't quite a Silver Age thing for me. It's trying to be wacky, but it's not as wacky as it should be if you were going to do that. And then everything kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I don't know. It just ends up feeling odd. But it's not horrible. It's probably, on this show, it's my best score I'm going to give. And that's not a high score either. No. But what would you give it?
It's just a little confusing. There's too much going on. I think they need a more focus. Couple things going on at a time is fine, but not 10 things. So I'd probably just give this a 6.
I'm giving it I'll give it a 6.8. I'll go a little higher. Actually, I could even go 6.5. I think I gave Wonder Woman 6.5 a little later. Spoiler. But this was a little better. So I don't want to go full 7. Because I don't think it's that good, but I'll go 6.9, dude.
There you go.
That's what I'll give it. Right? It's okay. Again, we picked it apart, but overall, it's like one of those things where I don't think everything, pulls together. I think it's very disjointed. I think the whole series, but it's not offensive. I don't read it. The weird thing of that man crush, but again, with Dan Slott, things like that. You can look at it at an angle and just say, oh, that's Lombard being an asshole. Because he is. So you could get away with the things, but it just felt weird. It felt like he doesn't quite get Lombard or Perry and Clark, even though he does say, I was at your wedding. But even that's a weird thing, like the idea of the wedding. I know that's something you would say to somebody but they're like really, him, Lois, and Perry are really close.
Like best friends.
Yeah, besides, but almost like, he's another father figure.
Yeah, like a father figure, like an Uncle Ben type.
I feel like Perry is like a dad to both Lois and Clark. So saying I was at your wedding and the man crush, they're bigger than that. And that felt weird. But again, it didn't ruin the issue. It was just one line from an asshole, Lombard, who I like because I think he's funny. And I always like to make up shit that he's doing because he's definitely banging Vicky Vale with Jack Ryder. Actually, we'll go full creeper. He's in the closet watching.
Yes,
so that's how you go. That'd be great.
Did you watch the Superman movie? Did you like Lombard in that?
Yeah, he was, you mean the new
Saturday Night Live guy? Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
He played it good. I liked the Superman movie enough. I mean, my biggest complaint, a lot of people said, not a lot of Superman. I would have liked more, but it was setting up all those things. It was okay. It was okay. There's not a lot of movies that I love, so don't go by my freaking thing. But no, I did watch the whole thing in one setting. There is a thumbs up.
That's unusual.
Now, I was also editing some shows or whatever, but I was watching, so that is unusual. I forget what it was. Somebody suggested the other day that I watch something. Actually, I think it was Jared after we got done recording Wonder Woman, and he had a suggestion. I forget what it was now. I tried to watch it. I failed. I failed miserably. I couldn't watch it, but something that him and his girlfriend ended up watching. So with that, though, that's for me and you. We're going to be going off to Jared right now. Me and him talking about Wonder Woman, which isn't Tom King. Tom King does come up amazingly, but it is Stephanie Williams. And I did say to a lot of people that I was worried because I'm not a huge Stephanie Williams fan. And I got the idea.
You thought you were going to argue, yeah.
I'd say we didn't argue as much. It was that I had a lower score, but actually after we talked about it, I did like it a little more. It's still like we're a point away, at least.
That's just a fill-in thing, right?
Yeah, it's just a fill-in thing. Okay. I just thought it could have been more fun, but reading it a second time and talking about it, my whole concept is she couldn't really do much. She wasn't given much, but Jared liked it. He thought it was cool, but I thought it was going to go really high. He did not. So we'll hear that now. I'm spoiling everything. And then obviously at the end we have Nightwing. It's at the end for a reason. That book stinks. So there's another little hint at what's to come.
Was that a KO tie-in?
No. Okay. Afterwards, I thought I was KO'd by a fucking stupid bomb is what I was. So there you go. But yeah, you'll hear me yell about that later. So thank you for joining me, Matt, as always. And we'll go right now to me and Jared talking Wonder Woman. All right. Here I am with Jared to talk a little Wonder Woman. What up, Jared?
Well, at least we're not talking about Tom King's Wonder Woman.
Exactly. And I don't know if you heard me because we had a little snafu, but what we play out on the podcast is we have kind of a final diss of some books. And the worst book is usually the last book we talk about. And that'll shift around. Obviously, this will be the first time I think that Wonder Woman on the podcast isn't the last book. It's actually, there's only like 3 books that we're talking about. So it still could have ended up like just because of the layout of the land, whatever. But no, indeed, it's right in the middle. And even so, I'll just tell you that when you have a DC Comics podcast, there are certain books that are obviously bigger than others, say a Batman, that we would usually put that as the first book. But when Tom King's Batman run, he was the last book. And so there you go.
And where he belongs.
And other stuff as well. Again, it's like that final dig in things that it's like kind of an inside joke. But yeah, this is going to be the second of 3. So it's not the worst, though I know that some people will know, obviously, if they listen to some things this week. I have mentioned to some people, Gray, I just talked to right before we ended up getting on here, that I was worried. Because we have been talking about this little interlude type thing with Stephanie Williams. I'm not a huge Stephanie Williams fan. I like her better than Tom King, but I still ended up, the Nubia stuff was okay. I thought it got really boring at one point, and kind of just faded away. The whole idea with Hippolyta, all that stuff kind of got to me, but still better than Tom King. And I said to people, just watch out, Jared might kill me. Is what I said, because we've not disagreed at all. I'm telling you, usually so far, our scores have been within like a point at the most. And that's including even the other stuff. But the Legend of Wonder Woman, we both love. So that's always going to be that. But we also really don't like Tom King. Though I did say to somebody that I knew for a fact we couldn't not talk about Tom King, but it'll be nice to not have to. but he'll come up.
I know, right?
He'll come
up.
Yeah, there's one thing that it's going to end up coming up for me in this, and I think that the thing that gets me is that even if I said to you, "Oh, I don't hate this issue," but if I said I did, it's not really fair to Stephanie Williams at all. She is handcuffed with what she's going to be able to do here because of Tom King, and that annoyed me. I know it's not her fault. It annoys me because I think that the editorial should have let her do a story that was fun and get a palate cleanser to the bullshit that Tom King's doing, but it's still mired in Tom Kingness, but it's okay. It's okay. And actually, by the end, throws in a character that I love and harkens back to, Greg Rucka stuff and not even just that, but even Brian Azzarello stuff.
At the very least, Diana and the Amazons sound and act like human beings.
Yeah. So
take that as an improvement.
That is better. It is. I wanted her to show up and say, "Me give baby," because then it would have been just like Tom King. But I'll give the credits and we'll get into it. I'll tell you right away after that. Just the thing that annoys me, but it's more of a laughing annoyance because it's so ridiculous, but I think Stephanie Williams might be throwing shade at Tom King. But it is The Village Part 1. Stephanie Williams writing, Jeff Spokes art and cover. I think the art's really good. You have Clayton Coles. And in fact, some people were saying that at a point was the best Cassie they've ever seen. I'm not so sure that is what I'd say, but it still looks good. I think they were saying sexy, though, too. It's kind of a little weird. But also Clayton Coles on letters. And it is Marquise Draper Associated, Brittany Holzer on senior. So if I expected anybody to do some editorial work, it wouldn't be Brittany Holzer. But what could be shade, but also feels kind of weird, Wonder Woman just went to Mouseman Island, right? She ends up taking Trinity, Lizzie, to what we say is a war zone. We had a problem with it from the get-go. I said to you at one point, why didn't they? And you said it. You wanted, the only difference was you wanted the Wonder Girls to watch her again. They already did. Why wouldn't the Wonder Girls watch her? I said why doesn't she take them to, Lizzie to Themyscira? The sisters are there. It's a protected island. And let's see some hijinks and stuff like that. You could have had, because Tom King always needs a palate cleanser. You need some light to his awful darkness, but you never get it. He tried to do it with the Trinity backup, but that even became kind of like weirdly mean at points. But so when Wonder Woman says, I need some time off and goes to Themyscira, I was so mad. I'm like, why didn't you do that before? This should be Wonder Woman coming back to Themyscira to get Trinity and then see what kind of story we have. But in the meantime, I also thought, I thought the whole play was going to be, and when we talked about it, be fun to see her kind of go into, and really, there's a lot of Amazons that people don't know. And I think it would have been cool. It's like, even if it started out and you had Philippus or whoever it would be, and Lizzie's so much of a scampy little girl, like, I can't take her, and it goes through and has fun. It's not quite that. But then it wraps around that I thought, I don't know that I need to see more Trinity. We get enough of her. So it's nice to see the Wonder Girls with that. But if Stephanie Williams is going to do anything, Nubia will be involved. I actually was surprised not as involved as I thought so far. They're just kind of there. And, but again, the art's good. It just, by the end of this, in my mind, you don't really get much. But again, I think that she's handcuffed. And I think that even if she wanted to do something fun, I think they would be like, this is Tom King's run and no fun allowed.
Yeah, that's why one of my co-hosts was like, oh my gosh, it's all that stuff with Lizzie. And I go, here's what you guys have to understand. Evaluate it as its own thing because, again, there's very little that Stephanie could do. What you want her to do? Just have Diana throw Trinity in the garbage can.
Can you imagine that's like Stephanie Williams comes in and she's like, fuck this. And Brittany Holzer's not paying attention.
She has Diana say, no, thank you.
That would be great. It's Wonder Woman Mother No More. And you have the Lizzie's in the trash can as Wonder Woman walks away saying, no, thank you. Oh, you'd be happy. You'd do it. Also, though, again, I'm actually interested in some of the things because now when I read stuff, Wonder Woman, I end up thinking, oh God, Jared's going to hit because Wonder Woman comes and can't shut her mouth up about how sad she is about Steve Trevor at points. I'm like, okay, but again, she leaves. This is more of the Amazons and not even as much Lizzie, but it's just a weird play. But you go from there because at the beginning, that's basically Wonder Woman. And I love the idea that Wonder Woman takes Lizzie to this Mouse Man Island, but now doesn't want to spend quality time with her. Like, she's like, I'm tired. I'm sick of this shit. But
this kid's so annoying.
That's the thing. That's the weird thing. And again, you don't mind that because you do not like the character, but it plays off weird in the idea that it does play, to me, she's saying, this kid's annoying. I can't do it. Why did she take her to that war zone? Why did she take her to Mouse Man Island? It was so ridiculous. And it was a prop because they wanted to have Lizzie get kidnapped so that Wonder Woman could be even more vindictive and, you know, blood crazy, it seems. But she comes in and drops her off. But it's fine. I really wish that with all this being said and done and some of the things Stephanie Williams did, I kind of wish that Hippolyta would have been able to be there. She's ascended, all that. But I kind of would have liked to have seen that interaction and maybe but that's not what's going on right now. You really can't have that. But that would have been pretty neat. But again, Wonder Woman comes, Nubia comes down, and they discuss this. But you go from there because it is Wonder Woman saying, I'm kind of sick of this baby. You take the baby,
I will
right?
say, with the art, it's really well done because you can see Diana like shaking and stuff. Like she's just tired. She's been put through the ringer. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you on that one. But it's like, here's the funny part about this. We know where this is leading to. So I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. I'll give credit as well with Jeff Spoke's art. The idea where Wonder Woman usually looks just ravishing, that, you know, and legit. If Wonder Woman was real, I have to, spoiler, Jared, she's not. I wanted you to go.
What? Are you kidding me?
I wanted you to say that. But he draws her like almost like the idea when you see an actress without makeup, like because she's so, she doesn't, her hair's back.
I got news for you. She looks horrible with the braids.
Yeah, that is true. But again, even the idea you have that knot in the back, and part of the hair isn't staying in, like you don't usually see her like that. And I think it plays out well. It does play out a lot like, even if it wasn't just Mouse Man Island, it does play out a bit of a little frazzled mother who needs a little time off. And I didn't think that was that bad. And I think the art plays that, because then you see Nubia like comes down and she's in this like bikini thing. And I'm like, holy moly. But yeah, she says, can you please watch it? This is the thing that kind of threw me again. I almost thought that the thing was that she didn't want to ask them before because maybe they'd say, but it wasn't. They would have. I don't know why she didn't. That'll always stick with me. But again, that's not her deal.
Here's the funny part. I want to say that this is even like Stephanie saying, King, come on.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
She could have just left her on the island.
Then when I said it's shade, that's the shade. That she gets done and says, hey, can you watch the baby? Of course they will. It's the sisters. And again, I want it more. We still have another issue, but it goes in another direction, which is fine. I actually just thought this was going to be a fun deal. And I legit thought these sisters, most of them immortal, right? Thinking back at Diana and, oh, you're like Diana. Diana did this at one point. You see this little baby Diana doing, of a flashback to then go and see some crazy things. And I thought we were getting there because at one point they're like, oh my God, she's, real rammy and all this. And they end up going, but it's a really quick read. I was shocked at how quick it was. And it's dialogue heavy at first. But then, again, just to prove everything that we said before, the Wonder Girls come in and they want to get involved. But yet Tom King, even at points, they had to play games. That's the thing that gets me with him.
It is so nice to see Yara portrayed without cursing like a freaking sailor.
Yeah, that's annoying as well. And even if you were going to do it, maybe throw shade where she almost, one little wingding starts and they go, Yara, there's a baby here. And then she stops, right?
But I will become the biggest Stephanie Williams fan if someone, if Diana's about to say something and someone says, no, thank you. And then she goes, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, it'd be great. So Yara comes in with Donna, with Cassie. People love them. I did actually was told by a bunch of people that I talked to this week. I was kind of on the fence of what people would think. I like Yara. I like her a lot.
Me too.
She needs to get more development. They need to get her some things. But at one point, people were starting to push back against her. I think only because you weren't getting enough of her in the way of character work. She was just there. She was in the future state, part of the, but I have to tell you 100% of the people, everyone, I was going to say 100% most of the people, but no, all of them said it was really cool to see Yara. And she's been in the Wonder Woman books, but you actually get a little bit of her here. She starts talking about things and she's kind of nice, then things get wacky. But I will tell you then when it happened, by the time it ended, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. I will tell you that because it spoiler, it's Strife, things like that, which I love from the Azarella run on. And I do like those Greek gods. It makes sense, is kind of working. I don't know exactly what's going yet, but Ken, I think my score is going to be lower than yours. I know it will be. But when they start bitching and moaning at each other and start yelling and saying each of them are like the worst thing, that was kind of funny. It was kind of funny.
100%. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and it ends up where it's funny because these are conversations that comic fans and Wonder Woman fans would have. So it's fun to see them do that. But you go from there because, again, they decide we're just going to play fight. Lizzie needs something to entertain her. She likes the fightings, so let's do it. And at one point, they're like, you mean we're really going to fight? No, but then they do. Because of what's going on, which is kind of crazy.
Strife.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I would love it. My prediction is that Strife is going to tell them, I've seen the future, and we all die. You all die because of that kid.
Yeah. Oh, I think that might. Again, when Stephanie Williams is here, there's going to be a bit of a purpose, and it's going to be a purpose to serve Tom King. And that's kind of unfortunate. That's the whole play that I really wish there was more of a way to make these two standalone issues that don't have anything to do with anything, so you can kind of judge what she's doing on that merit. This ends up, the things that I'm really annoyed about are just these side things of why would they do that? Oh, you're doing that. And then, like you said, setting it up and you're just going to do stuff.
The big problem is, here's the thing. As long as Trinity exists, any writer coming in, even post Tom King, you're going to be reminded of the King run.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know. What could they do? You want them to get rid of everything. Maybe age her out in a weird, like, this is a character that we've already seen her a little older. I don't think they'd be. And what she says, she ages up to like 20 and decides to fly to the stars. She's going to go to Mars or something. We never see her again. Just like Poochie.
Or she goes into another dimension like Wonder Woman's brother. Remember him?
Yeah. I like Jason a lot when he first showed up. Again, it was kind of a misplay. They didn't do enough. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool deal.
But do that, honestly.
Yeah, I'm for that. But again, they start fighting. I'm going to say if I'm picking who's going to win, Yara is a little wild card. I still think Donna Troy kicks the shit out of both of them, but Yara's pretty tough. She is.
Yeah, she is.
I think she'll also play dirty, right? Because she likes cursing. I'm surprised she didn't curse. I really am surprised, but I like that as well.
That's even more of a dig at Tom King because every character in his run curses.
Yeah, and you know what else? Here's the thing. Let's go through a lens, and we'll pretend even that this whole issue is to be a dig at Tom King because legit, Strife starts infecting them with anger, but yet they're kind of acting like most Tom King characters do normally.
I swear,
you know what I mean?
If someone retcons that it was Strife the entire time, I will laugh my ass off.
You almost could do that because the way that they're acting doesn't feel that off. It would feel off any other run, and you would see. But that's kind of funny. They might be able to do that again, though. I just wish Tom King would just lighten up a bit. But again, when this is going on, they start really going over the top. So they're like, hey, look at this. And it starts out fun, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, they don't curse, but it's like, I could take you, I'll kill you, you're just a copy.
I was the one that Diana first said was going to be the Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I love the thing, too, where a lot of times if you want to show that they're triggered to something, that copy does come up a bunch. Like the idea of who's a copy, all that stuff going on. But it's fun. While that's going on, Lizzie's just kind of freaking out. And then she's not crying. But at one point, I did think that, like, is Nubia breastfeeding her? But she wasn't. But they're going off. But then again, they keep saying this cry doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like a baby's cry. And then you already realize that something is doing. I thought it was more of like some news, like being Strife makes sense completely. I thought it was going to be some odd thing. And in fact, I thought, she's going to play like we had in The Legend of Wonder Woman, the idea that there's a darkness overtaking the island, things like that. Then I'm thinking Doom's Doorway, which obviously that always has issues and things like that. and all the play of it. But it ends up being straight. But legit, by the end, there's not a ton to talk about, really, because of the idea that it is just this fight gets a little out of hand. They realize, okay, Lizzie's not, this cry isn't hers. And in fact, at one point, it sounds like a laugh. You would guess the idea of gods, whatnot. But again, you go from there because tell me what you liked about it, because I did, as I'm saying the words out loud, I think I like it a little more than I did when I went through.
How often first off, it's Strife. It's the new 52 designed for Strife.
I love
so
that.
I'm like,
Strife.
oh, thank God. But plus, I mean, Jim, in the earlier episodes of you and I collabing, we did Superman Wonder Woman. She played a pretty big role in that. So
and that's what I was going to say. If you know Strife, like if you don't, she's
100% what she would do.
Yeah, it would. It's so what Strife would do. And just to explain, if you don't know her, she's just a raving. She just wants to mess with people. And, to pardon my French, but she's a real bitch when she ends up, and she loves it. And the way that it plays out at the end, she's loving it. Like the idea of her laughing and just having a ball, that's, to me, with Strife, that's 90%, 99% of what she wants to do. And then in the meantime, she's going to do some plan, but it's really just to mess with people. And this, she's able to do it. And I really think it's the idea, too, that Wonder Woman isn't there. So she's like, oh, I can take advantage of this shit and go through Lizzie, who is, kind of susceptible with the deal. I thought that was good. Also, I think, again, Yara Fleur is one of those where when you have an idea in your head of whether it's the Joelle Jones, that sort of thing, I think that they do a really good job of her little thicker that she is. And I think that side view is great. You get to see Donna's butt cheeks. You end up where Kaz is there and Yara, I'm like, they are cool. And I do love the Wonder Girls. I like the Amazons too, but they're kind of pissed and confused about what's going on. But even Nubia says it feels familiar. And when she said the goddess of discord, I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
It's striking. That's awesome. And I kind of hope that we get more. I don't think we will because this is only a couple issues, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, it's Tom King. And quite frankly, I don't want Tom King handling the gods.
Oh, no. I'm saying just here and then you get out, but I wish maybe this was a couple more issues and we could have seen Apollo maybe.
Here's the thing. As far as we know, the Wonder War is probably going to be the last arc of his run. So we're already almost there.
So you legit looked at the solicits when they came out today just to see, right? Did you see them?
I did on the show. I saw that. My thinking based on that, so it basically indicates that everyone dies. Cue the SpongeBob meme. Everyone died.
Yeah, everyone dies. Yep.
But what I think is probably going to happen, there are two predictions I could see making. Number one is Trinity realizes she can't stop Matriarch, so goes back in time to stop Emil from taking out the bar. That's the first thing.
Yeah,
that would
good.
retcon Trinity out. So I'm like, please do that one. The second option, and the one that I could see DC going with, is she goes back in time and stops Emil from being shot in the face.
Yeah, that could be. But again, that could just be the idea of having a mom then and not being like we don't know a lot of. We've seen her, the matriarchs. We've seen her already kill everybody. To set up. We said there's no setup. It's just bam, bam. Look how great my character is. But legit, it probably is the idea that her mother wasn't there. She's probably very jealous. I think that would work, and I think that's what would happen. Even though that would have a say. Just stop the shot in the face.
I would rather just undo the entire damn thing and just be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see by the end with Trinity, and you wanted to get rid of her, the idea that she just stays on Themyscira, and they'll be like, well, if somebody, I don't know, many people would pick it up. It's a Tom King character. There's been
which
a ton
they never
of them.
do.
That's what I'm saying. There's been so many of them, you don't really see them outside.
Here's the
of Tom
thing.
King.
I'm starting to wonder if he'll end it. He is intending to do the full, go back in time and undo it, because King 10, and even a few of the channels that I follow have said it would be in Tom King's character to go to at the end of this, there is no Trinity.
Yeah. And you know what the best of that is? You don't like Trinity, you don't like Tom King, but there are people who are Tom King fans who probably love Trinity, and he'll fuck them too. You know what I mean? He can't help himself. But
learn that he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't. Again, he's a weird guy. I got in an argument this week, and I get in an argument with lots of people. But this
really?
guy,
Maybe a little more specific.
No, this guy. The argument was the idea of Tom King being a good writer, and the play is. I think I told you the one point at the end of one of our podcasts. I said when somebody tells me they're a Tom King fan. This is a diss, but it's not as much of a diss as it sounds. But if you're a Tom King fan, to me, you're not a comic book fan. You're just a Tom King fan.
Well,
Tom King doesn't really write the deal. And so I get like, okay, I get what you are. Probably like some other people, but I don't know.
In my mind, I disagree slightly because you could say that like maybe that like Tom King is a better writer when he's writing a supervillain. That's one thing.
Well, we said that. Or out of continuity is definitely better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the idea, and this is the thing, I know people will disagree, but the idea where they really stress it's such a weird thing to be, he's really great at 12-issue maxi series. It just ended up because some of those were better than other things. I don't think he plays the 12 issues very well at all. I think that he drops exposition in like the 10th issue because he's all convoluted and shits are wrong. But again, even with that, this issue, I wish there was more to really talk about. It just ends up pretty much, hey, there's the Themyscirians. They are helping out Trinity, watching Trinity. But the Wonder Girls are the big thing because they're going to be taken over. But by the end, again, I'm a little more positive than I was because it once I have to go with the idea of how I felt when I got done the issue. Here's the weird play. Going into the issue, that's where the Tom King baggage is always going to be because you're coming out of that run into this. So you can't help it. The idea that I think Wonder Woman should have went there first, that seems more of a diss. So I'll like that. But when Strife comes in, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And it's set up in a couple issues where with Strife, I can see craziness happening and then it could just end. And maybe a tone can continue, something like that. I don't know. But again, what we said, Tom King doesn't play well with others, but others don't play well with him either. He doesn't care to play with others. Like, I don't think he's going to care. Probably won't even read these issues and just go. And that'll annoy me. But by the end, pretty cool. And I wasn't angry. The dialogue is perfectly fine.
This is the first mainline Wonder Woman issue that you and I haven't broken a blood vessel.
No, that's true. And still we're yelling. If we got to calm down and maybe like enjoy it for what it is. But it still just reminds me of Tom King and it gets me mad.
Well, we can't avoid that, brother.
No, and I think that what I thought kind of did happen, and I don't know, I think this issue actually is better that Wonder Woman isn't in it. I would have liked to have seen her a little more in it, but I think it kind of gives that different flavor. You know, yes, we have Trinity, but the Wonder Girls, they feel like Wonder Woman. That's the problem again with Tom King. They feel unwanted at times by Wonder Woman. She's annoyed by them. They have to play games to help her and all that stuff. And it annoys me. So I like them.
You know, it's kind of funny. I do love, when I was reading through this was like in my head when they were like complaining about Trinity crying. I'm like, yeah, so she's starting to annoy them as well.
I thought that was the whole play. I thought, oh my God, she's so annoying.
He's like, Strife, you take her. We don't want her anymore.
So, what the weird play is, too, is you almost wish that the setup... Now, that's the other thing. Maybe that's another play, but I don't think so. But the idea that Stephanie Williams is playing, the idea when Wonder Woman's frazzled, she doesn't really say, this damn kid, whatever, because that would make Wonder Woman look awful. But you can kind of play that maybe Strife was doing this a little bit longer than what we see and is driving Wonder Woman nuts to then have her deposit here.
If they do that to explain why Trinity and Diana is like acting weird, that will be the biggest middle finger to Tom King I've ever heard.
It's so crazy because you could think that because when Wonder Woman, the thing is, did you feel that much that she was that frazzled with the Mouse Man? I mean, she ends up with the Mouse Man. She's making him carve him in the jet. Like, you know what I mean?
Even when she leaves on the invisible jet, she's just smiling and stuff.
Remember, she left dissing Superman and Batman thinking like, whatever. I'm out. Like, didn't seem that upset.
Wait a minute. This is now you could say that like, oh, she was holding it together in front of her friends, but like at no point. No. Now you could say it's a reference to her basically saying I am uncouth or something like that because Steve died. Oh, notice this is the first issue where like she says Steve's name once, but after that, Steve is not mentioned.
And you know what I think? I swear to God, in my head canon, she gets done like. Since Trinity was born, because it's a weird play, with the thread and stuff like that. So she was right in action and then takes Trinity, baby to Mouseman Island, gets kid. You're in action. So all this stuff happens. It really plays out the idea that once she had to sit down for one quiet moment with Trinity, she got annoyed.
She's like, oh, come on.
It does play my that theory,
way. The other thing I could see them doing is I would not be surprised if after King leaves, they retcon Steve's role in her origin out completely.
Yeah, maybe.
Like they get rid of the whole, oh, it's half of her soul and half of his soul. No, they basically just have like Hippolyta come down and say, you know that's not the way this works, right?
Yeah. That'd be funny. Hippolyta comes and is like, listen, anybody asks, just say you made her of clay. It works for me. Let's get the hell out of here. I do. Here's the other thing that makes me laugh, too. When she brings up Steve, that bit at the beginning, it almost feels like, again, that she's annoyed that he's not around to help. And that's why she's frazzled. She's like, nobody's helping me.
He comes back and she goes, you deadbeat.
Oh, my God. I'm telling you, she's thinking at this point, like, because, again, there's points where we see, even in that Trinity book, that Steve knew what was going to happen and still let it happen. It's because he doesn't want to help. He doesn't want to pay his bills or help out. So there he is. He's a deadbeat dad.
Yeah, you know what? You knew he was going to die. You didn't tell Diana or anything like that.
No.
Interesting.
He just let it happen. Again, playing the idea, well, if I didn't die, you wouldn't be, but you could change that up a bit. You could still make it happen.
The funny part is King did another interview with, I think it was Word Balloon, where they were talking about like, so first off, the Word Balloon guy goes on a rant about people saying they don't want Steve in the Wonder Woman book anymore because of how Steve obsessed Diana is. And he goes, well, Steve matters in the Wonder Woman book. And I go, yeah, but not when everything Diana does is devoted to Steve. But of course, Tom King also says that he figured out Trinity's voice now. And I go, I'll believe it when I see it, brother.
Yeah. I'll one last bit for me with Tom King. I can't stand listening to him talk. And I really can't stand seeing an interview because when he's got the weirdest nervous energy. And I don't like there's a clip that somebody had about being a Nepo baby kind of thing. He's like,
that was going around.
That clip was going around. In that clip, which is 3 seconds long, he rubs his nose. He then pushes his hand up to his eyebrow, plays almost like he's straightening up his eyebrow to then itch his ear and then hit the back of his head. That's in 3 seconds. He's always moving around. And if you have seen what he ends up to me, and I like Quentin Tarantino a lot. He has a Quentin Tarantino energy, but he has none of the charisma or intelligence, none of the talent. That's what happens. I end up seeing him, and I'm like, you almost like play the role of how Quentin Tarantino is. And I'll tell you, I'm just going to be wacky. I wouldn't even put it past him. He was in the CIA. A lot of people bring it up, but he is a manipulative jerk at points, and I wouldn't even put it past him of him doing things just to do like he's just not. He's a phony baloney, if I'm going to say it without cursing, and it just drives me nuts. But yeah, I saw that clip. I watched it. Like I said, I can't watch this. It make me anxious seeing all this crazy and movements, and oh my goodness. But by the end, it's Strife. Strife was affecting the Wonder Girls, and they even realize, and it's kind of cool when they do realize. But again, like I said, I like seeing Yara do things. I love Kat. I love Donna. I love the three of them. And it was kind of fun seeing them fight and pretty much throw some sass at each other. But I also like the idea that when it is done and Nubia realizes, I think this is Strife, some writers would make this be, oh, you actually meant that. You were telling your inner truth. And I don't think that that's it. It's just Strife doing this stuff through Trinity, and they're just going to react. So I did like that. I thought that was pretty cool. And that's basically the whole issue. So we'll see how the next issue is. But when I saw it was Strife, I smiled like her. She's all happy there, all excited. And I love her. I think that she's great.
That would be how I would smile if I got to do whatever I want with Wonder Woman. Then I immediately just retcon this entire thing.
There you go.
Like, bro, I will straight up pants this.
You'll have that. And so if you haven't read, say, the Azrael, and I know that some Wonder Woman fans get upset about certain things that were changed a little in it. I thought it was really good. It was a different story. I thought it was great. I think that people should check it out. Because Strife and the gods are great in that. And I love the designs of every god in that. So cool. And like you said, was even in the Superman Wonder Woman as well, that we're going to eventually get back to.
Eventually.
In the deal. Yeah, we're just liking the Legend of Wonder Woman too much. But what would you give this?
I'm going to give this... Now, again, she was heavily hampered what she could do because it was an intermediate story in Tom King's Wonder Woman. So bearing that in mind, I'm giving it a 7.5.
Okay, we're not that different.
Because the Amazons sound human beings
they sound real. It's
and
good dialogue.
Diana actually sounds less stiff than she has sounded for the past, 28 issues. Mm-hmm. And I like the proper use of all the Wonder Girls. They don't sound like psychopaths. So I'm going to, and plus, again, using Strife and stuff, I'll give it a 7.5.
I'm going to give it a 6.5. So I'm not that low. I'll give it that. The only problem I have with it, you don't do a lot. You know what I mean? Once you get the premise going, yeah, you have the fight, the dialogue's fine. It's just by the end, you feel like you just got started because Strife shows up, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. So I think that it'll pay off a little more.
I just realized.
What's that?
Oh, I got an idea. I got a theory here.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I just said that Tom King said he got Trinity's voice and stuff.
Yeah.
What if this whole thing exists to retcon that Strife was the one making Trinity a B word the entire run?
Yeah, that would be crazy. That you could
have that. Hilarious.
Because again, it is weird. The idea that it happens, but again, it's a baby, but they really know right away and kind of go with the idea, and Wonder Woman's frazzled. So it might be, again, if Strife's there, and if Strife needed Trinity to whatever the ploy is to Wonder Girl to get them on Themyscira, it makes sense that she would be kind of manipulating her in the out and about and trying to get Wonder Woman and ended up frazzled because it didn't, like you said, that was a weird thing. She couldn't have been that frazzled by what happened in the Mouseman Island because she pretty much went through there like a wrecking ball. Everything she did said no thank you like 7 times and then seemed fine at the end. So maybe it would be the play and the idea of annoyance, and now that would be actually, I'd give Tom King credit because as you're saying it now, as he's saying, the idea that you don't get a voice yet and he's trying to work it out. In the meantime, just say Strife's fucking around. That's why it was bad.
You could explain everyone acting out of continuity or angry with just Strife.
Yeah. If he does the thing with Strife, say the idea that Strife at one point, because Strife was that weird play, especially in the Azzarello run, where she's bad, but she's good. You know what I mean? That she actually unknowingly thought that to beat the patriarch.
She's like Loki.
She is. And I think that the idea she could play it off and she could even lie about it. It's like, listen, I thought you needed to be a bitch to take care of the patriarch and things like that. It would explain everything.
Now, I don't anticipate it happening.
No, it's not.
That's too good of an idea.
Good, but also it would actually almost make you think, he would think that that's him admitting he was wrong. Though he would lie and say it was that from the beginning. But
it was the whole plan.
He would say, just like his 100 issues of
or just
Batman.
like him trying to say that Matriarch was always meant to be the main villain. Like, no. But as I was saying, if he were to do that, if the stars align and that is the plan, I will even give him credit.
Give him credit. I would too.
I'd be like, okay. And that's actually a good way to correct. And you're using a Wonder Woman villain.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I didn't mind Tom King when he first started the Batman run. It didn't take me long to not like him. But there was like the second issue where you have Gotham Girl and Gotham end up, I think they were fighting Solomon Grundy or Killer Croc, but they ended up kind of being defeated. And the idea, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You explained how powerful they were. He came back like an issue or two later to explain that the idea that they couldn't use their power because if they overuse it, they die. I'm like, that was smart. And that what you're saying is almost exactly like that. Like he said, but that's a long con and a very risky one. You know what I mean? Like he goes to Brittany Holzer, doesn't care, but goes, hey, I'm going to make these characters just completely out of character bitches, but then I'll explain it in issue 32. That'd be a really odd, but it would work. But again, even if he's saying, "Oh, it's not working," because I didn't listen to the interview, but as you said, it didn't seem like you ended up with word balloon or whatever. Like just usually, a lot of times he will just get on his knees for some people. But saying the idea of, "Hey, people are mad at this," there's no doubt that Tom King hasn't heard the complaints, and
you can't tell me editorial has not told him.
And Tom King, from what I've been told by people at DC who have worked with him and whatnot, he takes things very personally. And again, I have given him credit before. He's not on Twitter as much, but if you're a fan,
probably because if he posts anything about Wonder Woman, all of a sudden the King off Wonder Woman hashtag is going to show up,
and that's the problem. So but if you're a fan of his, I said at one point, there are legit times when I would see on Twitter that somebody would complain about something or explain something, and he would change some things because he heard that or they said it. So that's kind of cool. The problem is if you're not a fan, that means he just fucked up. And now he's trying to, but again, he is a guy who is reactionary. He will change some things or whatnot. So if he has been really told or reads things or says and like, oh my God.
It could be they told him, hey, if you want issues beyond 40, you need to make some changes here.
Well, and like I said, from everything I've been told and even interacting, I've talked to him a couple of times in weird ways. But the idea, he is a guy who's very insecure, even when he's like the big thing. Oh my God, I just did Mr. Miracle and everybody loves it. He's very insecure with things and gets nervous about, the whole deal. So I think he would change. So it might end up happening. All this is just me saying that if enough people tell him that people aren't, he will change some things, whether it makes sense or not. That's the worst part of it. And so if you're on the outside looking in, things don't make sense, but then he'll explain it on Twitter, which I hate. I hate when writers assume that everybody is on their Twitter. So they, instead of putting things in the comic, they explain shit on Twitter or social media or interviews that, you got to do that in the comic, but he's kind of famous for that. But that's that. But yeah, we're
not bad.
Yeah, I give it. I was legit. I mean, originally I was a 6. I went up to a 6.5. I could have even gone up to a 7. But the idea was, I thought you were going to come here.
Let me put it this way.
I thought you were here with a 10 and you were going to kill me. It's
definitely not a 10.
Yeah,
but it's like, let me put it this way. Comparatively, it is a 10. Let me put it this way.
It's I just, again, I'll say what I said at the very beginning and then we'll finish this. The idea, I kind of wish that it was just straight up fun. I was upset. When Stripe showed up, I'm like, fuck it, I'll take this. I like Stripe so much. But before that, I thought, man, you could have just had, Stephanie Williams comes in and actually makes us fall in love with Trinity. You're not going to do it this way. I don't know if it's possible, but maybe that would have been the biggest diss on Tom King. Hey, this character everybody hates, they love when I write her.
Here's the thing. That would work if Stephanie was writing an older Trinity. They can't do that because everyone's going to love a baby.
Well, here's the problem is, I don't think with Tom King we have. She's just a baby. And yet the one thing he does with her is make us hate Wonder Woman for taking her into a war zone. And then you get annoyed. But yeah, how can you hate a baby? But yet some people do. But yeah.
Very easy, as a matter of fact.
Wow. I have 5 kids. There's a lot. I'm telling you, 5 kids, and somehow I hated 6 of them. That's how me and my wife were talking the other day, and I'm right with Wonder Woman. We were actually talking of, it just came up. Remember when we were so annoyed at Logan? Oh, yeah. Hey, how about Ray? And it just went down the line of us kind of getting to a point where we were talking the most annoyed we were by every kid. And it was just going through a lot of it as babies that were just crazy. But that happens. That happens when you have kids. So that was pretty realistic at least. But there you go. 6.5 and a 7.5. Not bad. Not bad at all. You didn't argue with me and you didn't kill me. I told Gray right before this, I'm like, I hope that Jared doesn't kill me because I don't love this and I want it to, but we'll see. We'll see if...
I understand it, but I'm more giving her bonus points because with what she was given, I think she did a pretty solid job.
Yeah, it's true. She was handcuffed, and I'll tell, again, got in and out with... Wonder Woman could have been half the book and did nothing to kind of get... She came and went. And that was a good play. Just Trinity's there. She's worried. She goes, I don't need to know where she's going. I don't need to know any of that. She just needs some rest. She gets out and it allows. at least a little bit of Stephanie Williams to do something of her own, even though it still couldn't, because Nubia just kind of walks around. I think that she's handcuffed, but she did a decent job. I'm a little more impressed. Some of the things I said, the war of the Amazons. It could have been
so much worse.
Yeah, the war of the Amazons, and even some things tying into stuff just never really worked out for me. And the trial of the Amazons, some of it was good, but some of it just got really convoluted. But there was also some other writers that I don't think are great were on as well. But that's it. So we are done with Wonder Woman. We didn't hate it. We get to come back next week with stuff we know we love. So it's a good time. January's been good for us.
We got February 2 months off of King.
Yeah, February would be good too. So I'm looking forward. I am looking forward to see what Strife does. See how it's explaining what our overall plan is.
Isn't it great to be excited for mainline Wonder Woman again?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been a while. Been quite a while. So, but that's it. Thanks, Jared. Before we go, let everybody know, first off, your book is funded, which is
it got
awesome.
funded. Finally. Yeah.
And you did say, are you sitting here now and like, maybe I should have went a little higher?
No.
So quick.
Because the way Kickstarter works is that you don't get the funds unless it reaches that. So I figured just go okay. And then
if it goes more, it's great.
More, great. Yeah. But at the very least, I have a very achievable goal. So no matter what, the books are happening. So the books are happening, and I very much appreciate everyone's support. Mm-hmm. I also have something pretty interesting to announce, is that at the end of February, early March, I will be having Jeremy Adams on my channel.
Oh, that's cool. That'd be awesome.
So hell yeah. And then as for what I got coming out tomorrow, we are reviewing the older Masters of the Universe movie because the trailer came out and it looks great.
I just mentioned that yesterday. That movie. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. And in terms of what Britt and I are doing, we're comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to Silver Surfer and Shala Ball. Okay. So we're kind of going cosmic this week, and we plan on doing some more really great comparisons and content later. We have one out on what we want James Gunn to do with Superman and Wonder Woman, so we'll see what happens with that one.
Do you see there's that Jeff Loeb Batman Wonder Woman book? I'm like,
can we get a Wonder Woman story without Batman?
I'm sure that right when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, if there's any smooching in that, Jared's going to lose it. Even if there isn't, which I don't think, but it actually... It reminds me of that nonsense Tom King did with that mystery. I'm not looking forward to it. But
although I will say, Jeff Loeb writes a pretty good Wonder Woman from that Superman Batman book.
I'm sure it'll be okay. I knew that you would get upset that it's Batman. I don't want to. But yeah, and that I was talking about that Masters of the Universe movie yesterday with Wes, and when we were talking about it, I saw it twice in the theater. I was, a kid, but I saw it twice. For some reason, I didn't even really care for the cartoon much, and I loved the movie. Now realize it was garbage, but I was starving for entertainment, I guess, in the deal, so I went twice. But yeah, so everybody go, and still, just because the book's fun, it doesn't mean you don't want to get your hands on it.
We have stretch goals.
Yeah, so go and look in the description of the podcast, and please go and check it out and fund it.
And I should mention, if you backed in the previous campaign, go back it again in the new campaign. It doesn't carry over. I've had some people confused by that.
Okay, yeah. Me and Matt, who does a bunch of stuff with me, and you've talked with him in the Slack, me and him were like, Jared got us. We doubled our pledges.
Thank you.
And I was like, it was cool. It's legit. And this isn't even blowing smoke up your ass, just to tell you that people do care and they want. Matt had told me that say you weren't going to get funded by $500, he was going to find a way to do it. So, if you do talk to him, he said, and I said, yeah, we probably would have gathered together and got it for you because it's a passion project and we can tell how much
I really appreciate it,
and we want to end up, reading it and doing it. So, but yeah, with that, please check out the deal. Check out Jared's show. And yeah, Jeremy Adams coming on pretty big. And so with that, Wonder Woman is in the last book, so I can't say. Usually when we're done, I usually just say, hey, we're going back to the show. It's usually the end, but we're actually going off to Nightwing now. So we'll go off to Nightwing, me and Brad talking Nightwing right about now. All right, we're going to end this whole shit show with a shit show. We're going to be talking Nightwing. I'm here with Brad. What up, Brad?
Hey, Jim.
This book,
our favorite book.
I don't know. How much of a downfall has it been? I remember when Eric left and you first joined in, you were pretty positive with it. I thought you were a fool. I just said I don't see anything, but you had like the worst is you convinced me to try to like it, and it's got more. I mean, it is off the rails bad now, right?
Well, we talked about it last time about how the thing there were seeds of interesting ideas. There was some stuff that you could grab onto and say that's pretty neat. The Nightwing and the war with the gangs and Olivia Pierce manipulating the like all that stuff was neat. Like to me, that was enough for a story arc. Like that's a good story arc. You've got an evil corpo villain that's pulling the strings to manipulate these gangs to cause a gang war.
That's the thing. Just as an aside now, to stop you, the idea of Olivia Pierce coming into Bloodhaven, trying to manipulate the gang so that the Bloodhaven Police Department buy her stuff, to then thinking that she's then going to take over, whatever, that never happened. You know what I mean? Like, it was set up completely to be that. They were investigating her, all that all got thrown out. And that's the most interesting thing. The Zani is bullshit.
When I thought that's what this book was about, I was like, okay, cool. I'm down with this. This is interesting. Like, it's
closer to street level, right? It's
exactly.
Espionage, street level police.
She's not trying to take over the world. She's involved in a scheme to sell her equipment. Yeah. Right? And like, that's it. That's fine. It's okay for a superhero just to stop a bad guy who's not trying to take over the world and is just doing some shady shit. Like, that's what Batman used to do all the time. Now everything's always right. Sure. Okay. Fair enough. A bad.
Even then, and then it's. I mean, all the things I even said this week on another show. The idea that if I explain all of the loose threads, all of the things in this book, I legit, after explaining it, become that much dumber.
You sound like a madman.
Dumb. Yeah.
You sound like a lunatic.
Here's what happens when you know that things are bullshit, is when you explain what happened in a book and then have to have a disclaimer at the end saying, I'm not joking. That's what happened. Or I'm not explaining it great, but I'm not making shit up. That's what happened. I kept finding myself doing that. And the guy I was talking to was doing the same thing. He ended up, because when you do, if me and you went through it, which we could, and you start, there are going to be things that you're going to forget, and I'll throw in, you go, oh shit, I forgot about that. It gets worse and worse and worse. So in this, what is left is the Zani, the thing that got pushed aside. And one of the things that gets me is Tom Taylor, one of the biggest complaints in his run is that Nightwing just kind of let a serial killer go about. Now, that doesn't quite happen here, but you have, what's his name? Dan Waters kind of doing the same thing that Tom Taylor did, though, forgetting to keep that thing involved, and it just disappears for a while. Then it comes back. You never know what the big story is in this, because then you have Captain Hollow. You end up having, here we go, Nightmite as soup. You end up having Nightwing Prime. You end up having just crazy ass shit. At the beginning of this issue, which I'll give the credits now so we don't forget, but it is Nightwing number 134, penultimate issue of this kind. I guess it's weird because it feels like it is ending a run. It isn't, because Dan Waters is going to continue, but he's talked about how the next bit is going to be different. So it kind of is, his little arc here or whatever. But Jesus Christ, Dan Waters writing, B. Ken Marion, who is friend of the show. I really like him. He's a great guy. Doing the art, Veronica Gandini on colors, Wes Abbott on letters. You have, where is it here? I can't even read. Jessica Burberry on editor, Rob Levin, group editor. So the best thing is at the beginning, the shit's so convoluted that you have to have Martian Manhunter, who shouldn't, I don't know his connection in this book. He just showed up. Somehow Dan Waters thinks he's so connected to the fifth dimension, but he's explaining shit to Barbara, who was here through it all. This drove me nuts at the beginning, where he's like, get this. This happened, this happened. I wanted Barbara to say, no shit, Sherlock, I was here. You weren't. Like, talking about, she was the one who came up with the suit. Right? Yeah. She came up with that idea. He's like, and by the way, the Nightmite, he's in the soup. And she's like, bitch, I came up with that plan. But even then, that as a little bit of a nutshell, they ended up realizing that Nightmite was sick, is what they said. And what cures when you're sick, it really doesn't, but it might make you feel better. But soup. So then they said, oh, we're going to give him this version of Nightwing. He's sick because he needs you, Nightwing. Then he became soup. And I'm like, all righty. I'm losing my voice, too. It's going. But so you have Martian Manhunter, and then Barbara goes, what were you going to say?
I'll just say, we just get this recap from Martian Manhunter of where we're at with this, like, and again, it's like, I know that they have to do this sometimes, where one character explains to another character who was there the whole time what's going on. But it may, first of all, it's always
Barbara explaining it to Martian Manhunter.
Yes, that's the thing. It's so obvious.
He should be there. Martian Manhunter should say, "I don't know what's going on here." Like, Nightwing said some crazy shit. What really happened?
Martian Manhunter's been here for 5 minutes. Yeah. Barbara's been here the entire fucking time.
That's just bad writing.
Her idea. Yeah, it is.
It was her idea. Most of the stuff was. So and then again, the big play though is where's Nightwing? And he's like, oh, he went to the 5th dimension. Again, a weird thing Martian Manhunter involved with here.
Yeah.
He never quite gets to the point of explaining. Like, Barbara's pissed. She's like, oh God, like what's going on? But she should know the deal, right? And he had to be alone. Martian Manhunter, he said somebody had to be alone. He said something about me and you making out while he was gone, is what I'd say if I was John. But you go then into the Cirque du Sin, and this is the thing that's been hinted at. It's been a thing. Again, it was Zani, but then it leads to the Cirque du Sin. It's not that great. This is the be all end all, and you're mixing and matching, because you and me both said, first off, this guy playing the idea at the end, Nightwing just says it's bullshit. But the idea, I'm here because I need the circus. I'm like, really? You're going to have to do a lot more than this to get people interested in the circus anymore. And then I think Dan Waters realized, oh shit. And we said before it was convoluted, but it becomes the idea of becoming a carnival, not a circus. And then it's just ridiculous.
It started with him claiming he was the god of the circus. So we were playing American gods, that his power was waning because nobody went to the circus anymore. And it seemed like that's what we were doing. He changed his motivation multiple times. It was like, oh, I want Nightwing to be my ringmaster, or I want to make the circus popular again, or actually superheroes are the circus, and so I want somehow that if I make superheroes more prevalent, which, like, you're in the DC universe, everything's a fucking superhero, then you should be more powerful than ever if they're actually the evolution of the circus, because then the circus is more popular than ever, and whatever. None of it made any sense.
None of it matters or makes sense anymore, right?
So, I don't know exactly when I guess. At some point he decided, no, actually it's the 5th dimension, and Nightwing's going to be like, yeah, look, you're just a 5th dimensional imp. That's all you want.
I mean, even at one point, you could end up where Zani's mad. You have to have some motivation. Zani's mad. He realizes the circus is complete and utter bullshit, but he's more mad at Nightwing because, lo and behold, we find out that circuses were kind of pushed back a bit when the Flying Graysons stopped flying, and they died, and that became a thing of, like, some cities didn't want that because of what happened, and now he's mad at Nightwing. But that's not here or there, because we
don't get that either.
We don't get anything. Like, the idea is like, I want you as the ringmaster. Even at one point, Nightwing says, fine, I'll be the ringmaster. Just stop. What does that do? What does it what happens then? They just go on, because that doesn't solve the idea that the Zani's saying he doesn't have power. And it does nothing.
But all that about him not having power because of the loss of the circus isn't even. It's nothing. It's nothing because he's not the god of the circus. Yeah,
that's the problem. At the end, that's what he reveals. He says, "You're just an asshole from the 5th dimension who's pretending this." Why? Why is he pretending? Like, I know that they try to cause chaos and they want to do all that. This is the worst point of it. Like, it's a long game to go nowhere, to then lie to Nightwing, kidnap kids to get him there, then to reveal, I'm not really anything.
He's just an imp with a kink for the surface.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Maybe he's got something hard on for Nightwing. Who doesn't?
I don't know,
right?
But like, even he's seen them cheeks.
Call me the Zani if that's what you have to be to get that. But in the meantime,
Martian Manhunter does try to explain later. He says because I'm wondering the same thing you are. Why does he want Dick Grayson to be his ringmaster?
Yeah.
So later, Martian Manhunter says, the Cirque is an idea. It is intruding on the city. It believes it can do this by integrating Nightwing into itself.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, again,
what?
That's the ramblings of a guy who just showed up 3 minutes ago and wants to seem smart. Like it doesn't. That says nothing. So
it doesn't. What is that? That's just a bunch of gobbledygook.
It's a gobbledygook. It is. It is a string of words that mean nothing. And again, Dan Waters, at one point, I did argue with, but even with you and Eric. Eric was more about the Bryce brother dying. But in the meantime, I think that might have been one of the reasons he eventually left them too, is because we were arguing. But the idea where online, I argue with people, they said, oh man, something about this, again, being the definitive run. And I said, I wouldn't say that. And then they're like, well, what would be then if it's not this? I'm like, do you have time? Because I'll list them. But I mean, Chuck Dixon's that would be the definitive run. Whether you like them or not, whatever, that's the definitive run. And I said, this is just complete bullshit. Like, it's nothing. And they're like, oh, it's awesome. You just don't get it. I'm like, I wish I did. Or I'm glad I don't, because I think you'd have to be insane.
There's nothing to get.
No.
There's nothing to get. It's not deep.
I feel like we've been get. No, it's not. And so when you get to this is at the point where there's a ton of different types of stories. But in general, I hate the stories. This happens, in my opinion, that happens a lot with Tom King, where you get through a bunch of bullshit. And then you can see from the last 2 issues that they don't have any way to make this a satisfying story. So where it went wrong a while ago, but there's no exit plan. There is nothing. And he is grasping for things and then has to make up stuff. And at the end, then just says, oh, by the way, everything you read, bullshit. How can you write a story and then your solution to get out of it is to say nothing mattered. Nothing was real. It's just this nonsense. So you have these kids that are the kids barely become anything except, oh, they're going to be an obstacle where, hey, get the Nightwing
device.
Yeah,
right?
They're props, right?
Yeah,
they're just little they look like Sackboy if you're familiar with the deal. And so I can't say they're cute, but they kind of okay. But even then, Nightwing doesn't really seem concerned because again, he says none of this is real. None of this matters. I'm like, well, where are the kids then? And what's going on? Just don't get it. And then they say what did they say? A 9-month-old was in there as well. I'm like, what's that thing? Goo goo gaga crawl in?
No, I think the one sister carried it. Anyway, it doesn't. Here's the thing. Yeah. If I want to give some credit, well, first of all, the part where he walks through, he's like, this is the dark soul of the circus and it's all awful shit. I'm like, no, that doesn't seem like the dark soul of the circus. It seems like just crazy nonsense, but whatever. Anyway, he gets there.
That seemed like a Shriners kind of set. I remember when I went, there was a lot of this. I'm like, these animals are not happy. That's the dark side of it for me. But even then, it's like, you don't even get to see, and I like the Ken Marion, but when you get that, like, everything's in a cage and you can't see what it is, especially it's like, oh my God, all those birds, and ends up weird where he says, oh, the chickens are eating the geeks. It's a little hateful, but I'm like, okay, let's keep going. And you go from there.
It's supposed to be on a tour. But anyway, he gets there and you see the kids. I actually do like that Nightwing's not yelling, what did you do about the kids or whatever? Because that's all he's been doing the past 2 or 3 issues.
Yeah,
is just screaming, where's the Zodi? Like, that's all he knows how to do. So I like that he's like, look, I know this is bullshit. I'm here to play your game. Let's play this game and get this over with. So
yeah, in my mind,
there's 2 things I like in this whole issue. That's one of them.
Yeah. That might be the only thing for me.
The rest of it is more like, but I did chuckle at the we thought you'd at least try a couple of backflips and kicks to start first. Like that's a little bit fun.
And there's Columbina / Olivia Pierce who's holding her head like the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
Whatever. Though I'll go when you see this play, and it makes me laugh so much, where they go, oh, by the way, look it over there. Nightwing looks at a random bunch of fucking cans. Oh, no, it's the city. I'm like,
yeah.
Whew, how'd you get that? Like, I get the idea. They're like, oh, there's Titans. No, it's a bunch of fucking cans. And now we're playing carnival games of, oh, we got to see who could hit more over. And I'm like, whatever.
this I thought was okay, where we've got like, all right, here's the game setup. If you want to save these kids, you have to throw a carnival game, throw the ball at the tin cans. But because it's fifth dimension, all that stuff, when you knock over these cans, it knocks over the buildings in real life. Like, so he's got like this trolley car situation, impossible situation. What do I do? Right? Okay, that's fine. And the scene where the Zani throws it and it knocks it over and all the buildings are getting destroyed in Bloodhaven.
Bloodhaven's destroyed, right?
Oh yeah. It's kind of cool. It's kind of epic. There's actually some decent tension here. But it still doesn't change the fact that by this point, I don't care about the story anymore.
No.
I don't understand why the Zani wants Nightwing to be his ringmaster. And then when Nightwing's like, hey, look, all right, dude, fine. I want the kids back. I don't want to destroy my city. Look, why don't we just skip all this? I'll be your ringmaster. And the Zani's like, nah, that doesn't work for me.
That's come and gone. That ship passed. It's sailed.
So he's like, that doesn't work for me. I want you to destroy this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but he's giving you the thing that you want.
Yeah.
And so,
but
like,
again, because it meant nothing and there's no explanation for it. So
it doesn't matter.
You could play Zani, and even then, we haven't had Zani enough. If we had him more and it was set up, we could see that the guy through Olivia / Columbina, that boy, he says a lot of stuff, but he never means it. He's like the Joker. If the Joker ends up agreeing to something and then goes against it, you're like, well, there he is, Joker being Joker. But we don't know Zani. And at this point, we think that he is very much needing to do that. But then Nightwing just says, no. Though the funny thing, too, is when he's winding up, oh, my God, it looks like Eric when he would try to, like, throw something. Like, imagine me saying to you, hey, we have snowballs, and we're going to go and try to hit that garbage can a little bit. He'd go into a full wind-up. Like, I'm like, why are you winding up? We're throwing it. And he would do that to throw the thing 2 feet. And it was the biggest joke ever. But you end up, he's like, no, don't. I'm sitting there. I'm still wondering how he knows these cans. The guy hates cans. He does. But I end up where, okay. But even that is just like, I don't know. It just ends up me shaking my head of like, you don't know what you're doing here.
It's something that we've talked about, I think maybe in a previous issue in this series where I talked about the idea of story collapse, where all the little things that have driven you nuts about the story add up. And they just become a straw that breaks the camel's back situation, and you just you bounce out of it, and you're just sitting there looking at it, going, you're outside of the story looking in, and you just don't care.
And you can pick it apart because again, here's with this run, go a little extra because it's not just the little things that we see and do, and then it's also the little things we didn't see and never did, like the Fly Boys, and I'm sure at the end. They'll be cleaning up. You'll have the Teddy boys, cleaning up places, and they're good now, and we'll have all that nonsense. But in the meantime, you're not doing anything here, and what you're doing is making it worse. Martian Manhunter's like, hey, let's go and fight some crime. Ken continues to make Barbara very buxom here. Not bad at all. Look at her. Jesus Christ. I mean, she's hanging her glasses there. Stacked. Just so that we could see it. Martian Manhunter has to get the hell out. He just said, I am susceptible to fire, and you're on fire, baby. You redheaded vixen. I'm out of here. I got a chubby. He goes off. So you end up, though, the buildings are like...
Jim, that was better than all the jokes.
All the other jokes on the spotlight. Yeah. We're supposed to pretend the spotlight is where it's at. Though the problem in this where I guess it's meant to be this.
Terrible jokes.
But, they were great. By the way, Brittany Holzer, if she's working from home, the problem in this, the buildings are falling, but they're not like you can't save it. They're coming down.
There's no saving it.
Yeah, so you're going to have to try to save the people. And there will be, in my mind, a throwaway line of, thank God we saved everyone. I'm like, bullshit. These buildings are blowing up and falling down on cars. But they probably will say, yeah, nobody got hurt. Luckily, I don't know. Everybody was at the rec center. But when we go back to the Zani, like you said, though, I don't care because nothing was set up. But then what happens then? Also, just Martian Manhunter and Barbara just swinging around yelling stuff. It's so stupid. But
they're swinging in Well, the thing that I thought was crazy, or that kind of drove me nuts, because again, I'm outside the story looking in, so every little thing is gonna bother me. But like when Maggie Sawyer is like, "Hey, oh, we have to evacuate. I'm requesting aid from Gotham, but we need to evacuate now." I'm like, "Are you evacuate? What do you think is happening?"
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You should be helping.
From?
And get people away from buildings, maybe, or save the deal. But evacuate, these people need help.
I mean, their first thing that they would be thinking is that there was a gas leak or, like an explosion. Just like, what? You're like, what do they think's happening? All of a sudden, a bunch of buildings exploded and fell down for no reason.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know that there's a fifth dimensional imp throwing a ball at cans.
It could be a terrorist attack. I know you want to evacuate, but not the police. And they should. Here's the problem,
if there's a gas explosion in the city of Chicago, do they go, "Oh shit, we got to evacuate the whole city"? No, you're like, "What's going on? We got to figure out what's going on."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, thank God, Martian Manhunter and Batgirl are here. Surely now these buildings will stop exploding and falling over." Like, what do you think is happening? What is everybody? I don't know. It's just
there's a problem too. And if it did happen, I mean, they'd be like, "We need a miracle." Obviously, in Chicago, they'd call Caleb Williams. He'd come in and save the day, right? He'd pull it out from the jaws of defeat. But here's the thing that I hated in this. You're seeing the machinations. I said about Terra maybe in the Titans book, but this is definitely the idea. Like, what is going on with Spheric Solutions right now? It seems the CEO ended up being beheaded by Nightwing. That's never going to be resolved because he can't. Because she was a zombie. Where's the body? All that. So you do have to do something with that. And what he does is, oh, damn it, the whole Spheric Solutions RoboCop shit just got, it's under rubble now, to then go, oh, well, at least we don't have to deal with that. Instead of doing this to tie into the whole story where they end up using what was murder machines to save people. To go and say, oh my God, I was against the Spheric Solutions, but look, they're helping now. They're actually, the cops finally realize, we're pieces of shit. We got to kind of go. And they use that big RoboCop shit to save some people, maybe stop a building from falling, whatever it would be. But no, it's done. So we don't have to deal with it anymore. And then you go back down to the Zani, and then there's Nightwing. Okay, I'll play your game. Now we're just going to MacGuffin the shit out of everything. Where he says, I'm going to throw the ball, but I'm not throwing. The best is, it just looks like he's throwing like Eric. He's missing everything. And he goes, oh, by the way, this is the best. There's levels of it. Oh, by the way, I wasn't trying to hit the cans. Oh, okay. I was trying to hit Sonny. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, it's not a ball. It is the soup of
It's Nightmite Soup. It's Nightmite Soup. Even though we saw
them
Martian Manor holding Nightmite Soup.
They were holding
so it's only
it.
part of Nightmite Soup.
Yeah, but and let's just say soup because nobody would get it. So it's there. And what happens then is because Zani's a fifth dimensional imp, another fifth dimensional imp touching him will burn away the magic. Get out of here. And then him say,
it's like the only thing that can defeat an idea is another idea. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on. Also, I just want this Zani to say, this is all on me. Why did I fucking pretend to be the god of the circus? I could have picked anything. Like, he was ill-informed. He thought the circus was still a big thing. But again, that meant nothing. So then, and also, in my mind, Sackboy Kids, that's a misplay as well. If I was the editor, I'd say, listen, you only have one thing for people to worry about, that kids are going to get hurt. You turn them into Sackboys. So that gets a little pushed aside. Just have them as kids, that they're there wanting Nightwing to save them. And they're like, yeah, he's got to save those kids. At this point, he's just doing nonsense to the nonsense. And it's just bad. It's bad. And then you just end with what looks like the entire Bloodhaven city is coming down because Olivia Pierce / Columbita says, oh, take this, and throws her head.
Throws her own head at Titan's Tower. Yep. And then the cliffhanger is, oh no, what's going to happen to Bryce / Nightwing Prime?
Look at that city. It's Jenga on fire. Like, there is not a building that's not being touched. Also, the moon looks weird, but I do like Reed Kent. But, and then the building's coming down on...
The only other criticism I had was earlier when Martian Manhunter and Batgirl come in. Mm-hmm. Like, they're coming in to rescue people from buildings. Look at Martian Manhunter.
Yeah,
he's
there's
about
some.
He's about to punch the head off of one of the people he's coming to save now.
Well, that's how you save them. You save them by punching them out.
With a scowl on your face and your fist cocked back, ready
to cock back and say, "Listen, you get the fuck out of here, or I'm going to activate your dental plan." That is an evacuation. But
evacuate the teeth from your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to evacuate your molars. So when you do this too, for some reason, Dan Waters wants to have this little aside about Titan's Tower. I don't know that he realizes how this Titan's Tower came to be. And the idea of like, oh, that's a symbol of this and whatnot. They tore down the prison. There's so many things happen for that Titan's Tower to then be abandoned immediately. Is a lot of. There are criminals still running wild in the streets because of what they did in the Tom Taylor run. Because Tom Taylor, again, he gets political at points, but never knows where to go with it. I think that Dan Waters does the same thing with the supernatural bullshit that he does. Doesn't know where to go with it. So it kind of sits there. Tom Taylor does it a lot with politics. And it never becomes, in my mind, annoying because it's so surface level. They're like, okay, I get it. Prisons are bad. Like it was all, and the idea, again, one of the things just to throw it at the last second, the big play was pay for prisons more in Australia than here. But it just ended up doing nothing. And they made Titan's Tower to only be abandoned to the point where it looks like Life After People. Because this thing is completely gone and, this book. But yeah, at the end, everything's coming down. Oh no, somebody better save Nightwing Prime, who we do think at the end will probably eat some soup. Because remember, ideas kill ideas. He's going to just go back to Bryce because of that. And then everybody
get rid of the idea of Nightwing Prime.
Yeah, which you did nothing with. You could have. There was a lot of things with a kid who thinks that he's helpless and wants to do things, maybe go a little over the top. They did nothing. It seemed to just be, I think that's when they probably went to him and said, listen, you ain't doing shit here. We'll keep you on the book, but you got to change. So it's going to change. And then he started the outplay here, the exit. That was hardly an exit. But in the meantime, what would you give this?
Yeah. I think last week I was a FU 5 out of 10. I'm just going to go with a regular 5 out of 10 this time. I didn't hate it as much as last issue. Last issue I was mad because it was all BS and it was just like bouncing around, wrapping up stuff that we never touched on and didn't care about. This one, it had a couple of moments that were kind of neat ideas and some tension that was kind of okay, for given where I'm at with this book. I just don't care about it anymore.
No,
if I was invested, some of the stuff here might work better, but I'm not. So I don't.
5
out of 10.
All right. Sing it, Sammy. I'm telling you, I'm being nice because if I gave it a regular score, I think it'd be like a 3.5. And I do like the art. So it is funny that Martian Manhunter, I finally saw where he's just gonna level. There's a weird thing too. And
I didn't notice that at first. And then I was like, wait, what is he doing? I was like, oh, he's flying in and they're going to the buildings that the people are in. Why is he like that? What is that pose?
There's some weird at the last page when Barbara says Nightwing Prime. I swear to God, it's the question. Renee Montoya behind her. Like there's a weird deal. I'm like, who is that? Like it just seems like it's like, oh, look, Renee Montoya showed up out of nowhere. Look, but it's just whatever. It just is a weird play that it looks like it's supposed to be something more important. I don't think it's Maggie. Because Maggie, longer hair. It's a weird play. I don't know who that is, but it looks like Renee Montoya.
I think it's just a random bystander.
I think it is a random person, but
like
with a crazy like coat and a weird play. But yeah, then that guy with the hoodie, he knows what fashion is. That guy, even that guy actually looks like Wallace West. Actually, in my mind, or that's who I think it looks like. But again, it's just random people. It's fine. But even. Do you get the geography of when the buildings are coming down in that last page either? It's really odd, right?
It is, yeah.
There's like rubble.
It's like Jenga. It's like Jenga. Yeah. They're falling like Jenga pieces.
Parts of buildings are just being detached in a way that they look like they're Legos. It's weird, but whatever.
It's fifth dimensional nonsense. They can break whatever way,
crazy.
And some of them were two cans stacked on top of each other. So then if you hit it with the ball, so that
part of it does come down. The
that.
Titans Tower was like 4 and 2 on time nonsense. Yeah. Nonsense it was. But that's it. That's it for the podcast. That's it for you. Basic Brad. I didn't call you a bitch. You're not even basic anymore. I will just call you Bradley. This is what I'll call you.
Only my mother calls me
I Bradley. Do like that. Well, that's me with James. Only my parents call me that, and that means I'm in trouble. So, yeah, and if my dad called me that now, I'd be really scared because he's dead. So with that, that's for you, Daddy. At one point he did start, because I'm the third, and at one point he did start calling me third, and I do believe I said, "Don't call me that." It felt like I was in like a sci-fi novel where we were assigned numbers. Like, why are you calling me that? But that's it. I'm gonna go off. I'll probably have my voice back because I'll probably record the outro in a couple of days, behind the scenes stuff. But I'm gonna go off and I'll let you know what we're going to be doing next week. I haven't looked, but I'm guessing that one of these weeks we're going to be hit hard with some books because there's not a lot of books right now. Yeah. I think that one of the things being overdue is Absolute books because we haven't had like 2 weeks, I think, of Absolute books. And those are the big things. So I think we're going to be hit hard and that's going to really screw us. But we'll see what that will be. I'll let you know what we're talking about next week then. But we'll go off now for me to tell you what that will be. All right, and that is it for this week. We do have a bunch of other books. We have a bunch of books next week, though a lot of it, and one of the things that did shock me the last couple of weeks is the lack of Absolute books. Well, they're hitting hard next week, and at the moment, kind of only have one person, Gray, doing one book, Absolute Batman. So I don't know how we're going to deal with these things going forward. One of these, Absolute Martian Manhunter, we do end up putting it up on a poll for the badasses to get fresh crew. And if they pick it, then it's featured on the Patreon Spotlight. If they don't, we just don't talk about it because I think it stinks. I think it stinks on ice. Whether or not anybody agrees with me, I do not care. I think that book is a garbage. So this is what we're talking about, though, and I will include the Absolute Martian Manhunter. I'm just going to go through these quick. I feel like dung, we'll say, as they say in the Old West. We have Absolute Batman number 16. That's a continuation, flip, reverse, do it over, slap it, whatever you want to say, like Belle Biv DeVoe. But at the Wonder Woman and Batman meeting. Then you have Absolute Wonder Woman number 16 that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is a Zatanna issue. Started like, as I said that, I started shivering. It's cold down here, but maybe I'm developing a stutter as well. Absolute Martian Manhunter number 8, as I said, will be either on the Spotlight or nowhere. Absolute Flash number 11. Hopefully things move forward and happen. But here are the books that we'll have on this show, because obviously we have a separate Absolute show with its own separate problems. But here's what we'll be talking about here on the regular show. Detective Comics number 1105. I would guarantee that at the beginning, I will say to Brad, I never know what is going on with this book. The problem is, though, I've gotten to the point that I've said that so many times. Number one, you're probably sick of it. Number two, I kind of do remember, because I will then talk it like, I never remember what's going on in this book and can care less about Courage and the Lion. I kind of remember now. I'm not saying I'm interested, but I do remember. Then we have a DCKO tie-in. We got the Superman number 34. Then we have a DCKO tie-in, the Justice League Unlimited number 15. I don't like that book. I'm telling you, I don't know. It's such a nothing book. I don't like saying nothing burger, because that's an insult to every burger lover out there, and I am one of those. So there is no such thing as nothing burger, because if it's a burger, it's got more than nothing. But you know what I'm saying, right? Justice League Unlimited number 15 is just, I don't hear anybody saying, man, this Justice League is killing it. Never heard that once. We also have Flash number 29. That book's a bit of a weird one as well, as you go with the Bart and the Max Mercury stuff in the past. And we'll have to see what's going on there. We also have Green Lantern number 31, which I am going to check the solicit out just because I'm kind of sick of this book kind of meandering. And who is on it? Well, lo and behold, it is Jeremy Adams with Osvaldo Pestana Montpellier on the art. I like to call him OPM. And everybody says, are you down with OPM? And I'm like, yeah, you know me. It doesn't rhyme, but I still say it. Romulo Fajardo Jr. and Dave Sharp. But you also have, I'm looking, and I did look at the cover. I'm like, man, that cover looks kind of basic. And it is Annie Wu. There you go. Looks pretty basic. But I will say this because, oh, yeah, I remember now. I was looking kind of forward to this, maybe. It's more of the hard-traveling hero-esque story that's being told, where last issue Hal hung out with the Batmans. Now he's going to the Barry Allens. It says best guest starring Barry Allen. Barry Allen is wanted dead or alive, but they'll have to get through the Green Lantern first as Hal continues his investigation of the mysterious and deadly new chapter in the Book of Oa. The trail leads to Central City and old pal Barry Allen. The boys in red and green team up to tackle a duo mystery that will test their trust, their friendship, and the very life of the world's formerly fastest CSI investigator. I doubt all those or any will happen. And I love the idea. He's like, man, this Hal's like, yeah, I saw this crazy page in the Book of Oa that said Hal Jordan. I've been getting headaches. Boy, I think that the answer will be in Central City. Really? I think because, he kind of went back to try to figure things out or whatnot. Even though the first time you saw it, it felt like just the mystery itself was, why is it there? Like, how could this be? We're dealing with a lot of time travel-esque things. You could even say that you could think that it's something of a multiverse or a crisis event type thing. But no, he's going to Central City now. He's going to say, hey, Barry, you used to be a CSI investigator. Investigate this shit. I saw a book with my picture, and he's like, listen, I know that you were young and needed the money. He's like, no, I didn't mean Playgirl. Or maybe I did, because that gave him a headache too. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it is. I know that I've been down a bit on a bunch of the Jeremy Adams books, but everybody likes what they like. Everybody can like what they like. We'll go back to the things, because I think that, I actually did it right. We have a weird, not the weirdest tie into KO, but this one, I believe, in my mind, I believe this is also a Jeremy Adams one as well. I think that there's times where you get some, especially specials. Like, you'll have, like, the summer special, and it'll be beach blanket himbo, right? You know what I'm saying? And they come up with a title and then decide what to do it because, oh, man, the title, that sounds pretty great. Like Along the Watchtower, that question book. That book stunk, but they thought they had a title. The kids are all fight. Yep, it is. It's Jeremy Adams and Travis Mercer on art. I do want to tell you that the cover is cool. It's also done by Bruno Redondo, who I've talked to at points and do really like him. But his pictures become that I think he thinks he's the Draculus. I look at the things on the comic book, or not the comic book roundup, the League of Comic Geeks, and they have all the pictures and stuff, and I like to look if you haven't heard before. But yeah, also Andrew Dahlhaus on it, the colorist. I've talked to him, a very, very nice guy. But Bruno Redondo looks like he thinks he's the Draculus. Maybe if I ever talk to him again, I'll ask him if, in fact, he is the Draculus. John Kent always wanted to be a Titan when he grew up. That is true. It was funny, too, when he would ask Damon, hey, can I be in the Titans? And Damon would say, what don't you understand about the team part of it? Obviously, what would John know? He's a little kid, even though then he went and lived in a volcano with no education, and now he's a reporter for the Daily Planet. It shows you why, in fact, print died. It had nothing at all with the internet. It's the idea of saying that, oh, man, grunge, specifically Nirvana, it killed hair metal. Hair metal was already dying. They were killing themselves with their nonsense, which I do love hair metal. But, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But now that he's working alongside them in the effort to evacuate Earth, he didn't think he'd be stuck babysitting young sidekicks. That's the thing, too. It's, you wish for something, you're dying to live, but yet you live to die. Isn't that what they say? When the kids sneak off to enter the fray and stop Granny Goodness, who doesn't have anything that she gets triggered or anything about kids, John will have to show these young heroes the ropes so they can save the day and prove there's no age requirement to being an idiot. Oh, superhero. And you won't want to miss the shocking finale. All right. What do you think the shocking finale is? They reveal that Cheshire likes to eat spicy foods. That is shocking. It has Judy Garrick, and I'll tell you the characters in it, actually. You have Cassandra Cain, Batgirl. You have Judy Garrick, the Boom. You have Leanne Harper, Cheshire Cat. You have Jeffrey Holt, Fair Play, one of the other lost children. Quiz Kid's in it. Quiz me this, he says. He doesn't. Roy Harper, John Kent. You got a bunch of the Furies, including my favorite, Lashina. People don't really know Lashina. It's a shame. Also, Thunderheart, Irie is in it. Static, some reason. Stargirl, right? Stargirl. Wonder Girl, down the Troy. Anybody? We'll see. We'll see how it is. I don't know. But we'll go on to a finale. This book might be one of the worst books that's been out in the past year. And I'm sure everybody has their idea, of Harley Quinn Fartacular, if that's still within a year's deal. Pretty bad. I think it would be because it came out on April 1st, if I remember correctly. But Justice League Red is a book that there's no reason for it to exist. The little reason that it did kind of got screwed up by KO. And it's just been like meandering and veering off in different directions. And now it's become the book that just wants to keep telling you that anything that Red Canary, let that sink in. Red Canary, the girl who became a superhero because a guy was robbing a music store while she was looking at guitars, and she El Kabonged the guy over the head and then decided, you know what, I think I could fight Doomsday. She was legit 3 feet away from Doomsday at one point, fighting in the Dark Crisis, and didn't die. That, to me, is bull pucky. But yeah, Sally Ahmed and Clayton Henry on this, but you do have just Red Canary. Anytime Red Canary does anything in this book, there are 5 people there to cheer her on, put her up on the shoulders, and take her off the field like a modern day John Madden. It's ridiculous. Here's the solicit. It's the last issue. Justice League Red versus Red Tornado. Right or wrong, Black Adam has convinced the team the call is coming from inside the house, which they knew from the very start. And they've returned to the Red Tower prepared to face Red Tornado or Tornado. But are they ready to face this horrifying final form? Oh, yeah, that already happened. But what transformation might this explosive confirmation provoke? In Green Lantern, Power Girl, Cyborg, Red Canary, or Deadman, one of the worst written Deadmen ever. And he just keeps getting written horribly. And I go through the League of Comic Geeks, I already said it, as we're going through these. And before an issue comes out, people will have comments. And, oh, man, I'm looking forward to that. A lot of times what it is, if it says, like, guest starring, name some wackadoo character, and then they'll be, oh, my God, we haven't seen them in a while. Oh, this would be great. But usually you'll have, a bunch of comments. You'll have a bunch of things. There's like 4 here, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. This person says, seems this will be the final issue. Yeah. And this series is frustrating. Yes. So there you go. And then this one is that saying, I love that they're waiting for confirmation that this is the finale. I think it was always going to be the finale. Yeah. Oh, and I'm really excited about this one. That person is a maroon, is what they are. Let's see if we have anything else. And I'm losing my voice, as I said, having some problems. So we just did Justice League Red, correct? Correct. And that is it. Because there are issues. If you are, I don't know, if you're insane and you're still reading the Harley Quinn book, that comes out as well. A better choice, but still not great, would be the Harley Ivy Life of Crimes, right? But those are both nonsense. So actually, not a ton of books on the regular show, but 4 absolute books. So that's kind of crazy indeed. I went to go look at the Harley Quinn solicit. It looks garbage, and it's also in the first person where Harley's giving. Screw that. Elliot Kalin. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. And then, as I said, I kind of get the idea of if anybody's reading the book or there's hype, and I look at the Harley Quinn. One person is the only comments who says, I guess this run is continuing until 60. Then probably you'll have a new team, hopefully. That's the only comment. And then there's a response to that. Their response is, hopefully, with a exclamation point. Nobody's reading it. Nobody's reading it. If they are, it's because they're super Harley fans and will read whatever, but there's not a lot of them. I'm a big Harley fan. I ain't reading this garbage. So that's it, everybody. That is it. We have a bunch of books. 2 of those books will be on the Patreon only. DC Comics Badass Patreon Spotlight. The spotlight of 2 books picked by the badasses, the Get Fresh crew. I'll tell you right now what they probably will be. I don't want to make it so it seems like I rigged the results because I don't, but I kind of get the deal with them. It'll be Martian Manhunter and The Kids Are All Fight. I will bet my life on that. And so if you want to hear those 2 books, it'd be a good idea to go over to the Patreon. You can get a week's free trial. So if you wait a couple days, hit that, you'll be able to listen to Spotlight and see if it's something for you and then maybe join. And while you're at it, just listen to a bunch of things as well. So all of that said and done, we are done. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go pass out or maybe take a hot bath, but I don't take baths, so I'll go with the passing out. I might take a shower. You ever, like, when you're so cold and you take a shower and it's hot, but it doesn't even feel like what? It's weird. You get that weird, eerie feeling like it hurts, but nah, I don't know what I'm saying. I think I'm losing it. But you have to have it to lose it. That's what I've been told. That's what I'm told in the sack. But that is not, that's too much information. But thanks, everybody. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. And we'll talk to you next week.
Every other show sucks. That's why you're listening to us. Every other show sucks. We're the only one that isn't us. So thank you for being smart. From the bottom of our heart, thank you for being smart. 'Cause everything that us just tastes like a fart. Shut your mouth. Every other show